A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, first with premium quality and best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. You get a call from a man telling you that a woman has been badly beaten. Before you can get the name of the victim or any other information, the caller hangs up. Your job? Investigate. Here is Chesterfield's record with smokers, and important to you.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report of a doctor who has been examining a group of Chesterfield smokers for a full year and 2 months as a part of a program supervised by a responsible independent research laboratory. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this? Chesterfield, first with premium quality. Chesterfield, first choice of young America. And that's from a survey made in 274 colleges and universities. Try Chesterfields today. Chesterfield, regular or king size. They're much milder and best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Friday, June 10th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. I was on my way back from the main jail, and it was 8:10 p.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide. Frank?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I want to talk to you.
I'm not going anyplace.
Oh. Well, I talked to Evans. I couldn't get any more out of him.
The arraignment's still set for the 14th, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, can't you settle down for a minute and stop that pacing up and down? What's the matter? Something on your mind?
On my leg.
Oh, something wrong with it?
Not a thing. Just walking.
Well, I wish you could manage to stand still for a minute. I'm getting a little bilious following you around the room.
You know how far it is from here to the business office?
What do you mean?
How far?
Oh, it's just across the hall. Is that what you mean? 25 feet?
No, you're wrong. It's 1/210th of a mile.
Oh, that's good to know.
It's 1/6 of a mile to the crime lab, including the stairs. 1/8 of a mile to Sal's Cafe. 4 trips to R&I equals 1/4 of a mile. Never knew that, did you?
No.
Our grand total tonight so far is over 6 miles, and we're only half through. What do you think of that, Joe?
Well, what's it all prove?
Well, this is a walking job we got.
Well, everybody knows that, don't they?
Yeah, but I'm the only one in the department who knows exactly how far we walk.
That's fine. Any calls come in while I was out?
No. Like to know how I do it?
What's that?
It's done with a pedometer. Measures miles. Just fastens on your leg, see? At the end of the day, you know exactly how far you walk.
Yeah.
Gonna measure everything, Joe. Keep track. Gonna know exactly how far everything is.
What for?
Somebody might want to know.
Who? I get it. Homicide, Friday. Yeah. Now, what's that address again? Yeah. Right. Now we got one to roll on.
What do you got?
Ambulance follow-up, Westlake area.
Yeah.
Woman's been beaten. 8:14 p.m. We left the city hall and drove to the address we'd been given. 8674 Cambria Street was a large private home that had been divided into apartments. The house was quiet and there was no sign of any disturbance. There was a woman sitting in a glider on the front porch. We went up and talked to her.
Something I can do for you?
Police officers, ma'am. We got a call that there'd been some sort of trouble here.
What kind of trouble?
The woman had been beaten, is that right?
It must be some kind of joke. Nothing like that here. You sure you got the right address?
The one we were given, ma'am. You got an apartment 104?
Yeah, the last one back on the left. Rockmans live there, Mr. and Mrs.
We'd like to see the apartment.
Go ahead. Anything happened around here, I'd know about it. I'm the landlady. Anything happened, I'd know about it. Go ahead, you won't find anything.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Here it is.
I'll get it.
Better try the door, huh?
Yeah. Nobody here.
It looks like they had a party, huh? I'll
Yeah.
check the back. No? No one out there.
Coffee on the table's cold.
You find anything?
Where's that door go, ma'am?
Bedroom.
Joe, this girl on the bed.
No. Yeah, really worked her over, huh?
How about it?
See if I can find her pulse here. Yeah, she's still alive.
What is it? Something happened to Hazel?
Joe?
It's pretty bad. Both eyes black, bleeding. Is this Mrs. Rockman here?
Yeah, it's Hazel. What's wrong?
Where's her husband?
I don't know.
When'd you see him last?
Well, about 5 minutes ago.
Where was that?
On the front porch. He just walked out.
The ambulance crew arrived and immediately removed the victim to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital for emergency treatment. We got in touch with Officer Ed Barrett of the hospital detail and asked him to try to get a statement from the victim if she regained consciousness. We locked the door to the Rockman apartment to preserve any physical evidence we might need, and then we went down and talked to the landlady, Mrs. Ruth Baker. We found her on the front porch. We asked her what she knew about what had happened.
I sure wish I could tell you more. How about Hazel? Is she going to be all right?
We don't know yet, Miss Baker. She's pretty badly beaten.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you want from me?
Some questions we'd like to ask, ma'am.
About what? I've told you what I know.
Do you know where Mrs. Rockman's husband was going?
No, I don't. I don't much care either.
Did you see anything at all when he went out?
Not a word. Just walked out in a sort of daze, like a trance, sort of.
He didn't say anything at all to you?
I just got through telling you that he didn't.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. and Ms. Rockman fight often, would you know?
No, not any more than any married couple.
Miss Baker,
Yeah?
wonder if you can give us a description of Mr. Rockman?
Description?
Yes, ma'am. Tell us what he looks like.
You figure he did that to Hazel, huh?
That's what we want to talk to him about.
What kind of description do you want?
About how tall is he?
About as tall as he is?
That'd be 5'10", huh?
If that's what you are.
How much would you say he weighed?
Wouldn't even make a guess. I don't notice things like that.
Yes, ma'am, but would you say he was medium build or heavy?
I'd say medium. Not too heavy, not too skinny. Medium.
What color's his hair?
Black.
How about his eyes?
Brown. Real dark brown.
He wear glasses?
No.
Was he clean shaven?
What do you mean?
Well, do you have a mustache?
No, he had one a while ago. He tried to grow one, but Hazel made him take it off. It never grew real well. Little scraggly thing.
What was he wearing when you saw him last?
Shirt and pants.
Could you tell us what color the shirt was?
No, and I can't tell you what color the pants were either. It's dark out here. I didn't pay much attention when he left. Just thought he didn't feel well. Sick from the party.
All right, Miss Baker. May I use your phone?
Sure, help yourself. It's in the living room, right inside the door to your left. You can't miss it.
All right, ma'am. Thanks. I'll call this in, Joe.
Right. You know, Miss Baker,
Yeah?
does Mr. Rockman drink much?
Why do you ask that?
Well, I wonder if there might be some bar in the neighborhood that he might have gone to, maybe?
No, he doesn't drink much at all. Once in a while, he and Hazel have a glass of wine before dinner. You know, sharpen the appetite. Just a glass of wine before dinner.
Mm-hmm. And you haven't any idea where he might have gone?
Not the slightest.
Does he have any relatives in the city?
I can't answer that.
You mean you don't know?
Must have some people someplace. Most of us do. But I'm not the kind of person who pries into the private lives of my tenants. They pay their rent, no loud parties, and I don't bother them.
Now, about this party tonight.
Yeah, what about it?
Was there any trouble?
Not that I knew about.
You didn't hear anything? Any loud talking? Any arguments, maybe?
Nope, I wasn't at the party. Wasn't invited. Hazel gave it for her Tony friends. Going to play bridge. I wasn't there.
Yes, ma'am. Could you tell us who was there?
Never been able to get the hang of the game. Don't like cards. Chinese checkers, that's my game. Never could understand bridge, so I wasn't invited.
Well, can't you give us a list of the people who were there?
I suppose. Why do you need it?
We'd like to talk to them.
Well, I guess it'd be all right to give them to you. How's Hazel? You heard yet?
No, ma'am.
Sure a terrible thing. Not that maybe she didn't deserve it, but it's sure terrible.
Why do you say that, Miss Baker?
What do you mean, why do I say it? I say it because it's true. No other reason to say something.
Yes, ma'am, but what do you mean?
Just that it was bound to happen. Somebody was bound to haul off and slap her mouth shut one of these days, the way she talked.
Ma'am?
Accusing. Always accusing. Thought everybody in the world was after her. Always tell me that she knew about me, that I wasn't fooling anybody. The words she'd use. And they're supposed to be so Tony.
Well, did she have any enemies around her? Anyone to make her think that, would you know?
Well, she didn't have any right-out enemies. There were several people who didn't like her. They thought she was too snooty for them.
I'd call the office, Joe. They're putting out a broadcast.
Did you check him?
Yeah, nothing on him.
Mm-hmm.
Hope it's all right, ma'am. I left your number in case they want to reach us.
Sure, it's all right.
Can you give us the names of the people who were at the party tonight, ma'am?
Yeah, there was Lily Davis, the Harrises, and there was some fellow with Lily that I never saw before.
You know where we can get in touch with them, do you?
Well, the Harrises live up in 203, and Lily has an apartment 105 right across from the Rockmans. She ought to be able to tell you something. Don't know if it's going to be the truth, but she'll think of something to tell you.
Yes, ma'am. She a good friend of Mrs. Rockman's, do you know?
Oh, you bet. They're thick as thieves. Always having little lunches by themselves, talking secrets, buzzing around. Thieves. Myself, I never took to Lily. I always thought she was kind of wild. Divorcee, you know.
All right, Miss Baker, thank you very much. We'll be in 105 if there are any calls. Appreciate it if you'd let us know if Mr. Rockman comes in. Don't mention to him that we're here.
Mm-hmm. All right.
That was 105, you said?
Yeah.
Better talk to this Davis woman, huh?
Yeah, maybe she can tell us where Rockman is.
Yeah. 105, here it is.
Yes?
Miss Davis?
Yes. Is there something I can do for you?
Yes, ma'am. We're police officers.
What is it you want with me?
We'd like to talk to you, ma'am.
Oh, well, come in.
Thank you. I wonder if it'd be all right if we left the door open.
I suppose so. Any special reason?
Well, we'd like to keep an eye on the apartment across the hall.
Well, what's it about?
We understand that you know the Rockmans pretty well.
I suppose so. Why?
You have any idea where Mr. Rockman might be?
No, I don't. Isn't he across the hall?
No, ma'am, he isn't.
Well, I don't know where he is. Have you talked to Hazel?
No, ma'am.
Well, why don't you ask her? She should know.
We were wondering if you could help us out.
No, last I saw of him was when he left their place.
Uh-huh.
Say, I wonder if you'd mind if I went ahead with what I was doing.
Ma'am?
It probably seems silly to you, but it's a hobby of mine. Wire sculpture. Silly, but it gives me a chance to relax.
Yes, ma'am. Well, you go right ahead.
I don't think I got your names.
Well, my name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do,
How do you do,
Smith,
ma'am?
Mr. Friday? Well, what's all this about? Herman done something wrong?
No, it's just a routine investigation, Miss Davis.
Oh, mm-hmm.
We understand that you were at their place tonight, a party, huh?
Well, yes. Hazel was going to have a couple of tables of bridge.
Anything unusual happen while you were there?
No, nothing that you'd call really unusual.
Who was there, ma'am?
Oh, myself, the Harrises, they live upstairs, and Tom Reeves. Another couple were coming over after dinner, but they called and said they couldn't make it. It's just as well. None of us felt much like playing.
Why was that?
Well, Hazel wasn't feeling very well. She and Herman had a little argument. You know how it is, kind of uncomfortable. Excuse me. Hello? Yes. Oh, yes, Tom. No. Well, you've got to understand she wasn't feeling too well. Mm-hmm. Just one of those things. Yeah. What? No, I've got a meeting that I want to go to tomorrow night. Modern art, yes. At a place down on Melrose. Well, sure, if you want to. Mm-hmm. All right. You want to pick me up about 7? Right. Okay. See you then. Bye. Excuse me, that was Tom. He's a nice boy. I just met him tonight. The Rockmans set it up.
Mm-hmm. What was this argument that the Rockmans had? Do you know what that was about?
Well, it was nothing, just a little thing. Hazel hadn't been feeling well lately. It's awfully easy to set her off. I guess sometimes Herman doesn't realize it.
Yes, ma'am, but what caused it tonight?
Well, you see, Hazel's been thinking that there was somebody been following her, spying on her. She told Herman about it tonight. That made him a little angry. And, well, then at dinner we just sat down. Mrs. Harris said that she'd seen a picture of the dress that Hazel had on in the morning paper. Well, Hazel didn't understand. I guess she thought that Mrs. Harris was being nasty about it. And She got up and left the table, went into the bedroom.
Yes, ma'am.
Herman got up and went in after her. Came out and said that she wasn't feeling well. It kind of threw a damper on the evening, so when the other couple called and said that they wouldn't be able to make it, we all decided to call it quits.
Mm-hmm. Was there any reason for Mrs. Rockman to feel that there was somebody spying on her?
Oh, no, Mr. Friday. It was just one of those things. She'd go along fine, feel good, and then she'd wake up in the morning and start to think about things, and she'd get depressed. Well, when she's like that, there isn't anything that can lift her out of it. We used to talk about it. I'd try to help her. Same thing happened to me, I know. It's just one of those things.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe if they'd had children, it'd be different, but lately she hasn't been feeling well, and she and Herman haven't been getting along. He just didn't seem to understand. She'd get angry, and he'd work late, and the more he worked late and stayed away from home, the more she'd fret and get angry. It was just a vicious circle. Nothing anyone can do about it. It'll pass with time.
Mm-hmm. When Rockman went in to see his wife, did they argue?
Well, they had a few words, a little loud, nothing serious. Then he came out and said that everything was all right.
Ma'am, did Rockman ever get violent toward his wife, do you know?
What do you mean, violent?
He ever hit her?
No, I don't think so. A couple of times when I was over there, he looked like he might be thinking of it, but I never saw it. I think if he ever did hit her, Hazel would have told me. We were very close, as I said. I tried to help her.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few loud words, that's all I ever knew about. Anyway, after Herman came out of the bedroom, we all decided to leave. This fellow, Tom, he wanted to go on, out someplace, but I was a little tired, and I'd just met him tonight, so I begged off and came home.
Yes, ma'am.
Can't you tell me what this is all about?
Miss Davis?
Hello, Mrs. Baker. Something you want?
I want to see the police. Mr. Smith, your office called, said you were to call this number right away. Here's the number they gave me. They said you'd know. I wrote it down.
Thank you, ma'am. Here, you want to call, Joe?
Yeah. What if I use your phone, Miss Davis?
Sure, help yourself.
Thank you.
Isn't this the most awful thing you've heard in all your life?
What?
Well, about Herman, what he did. Terrible. They ought to send him away for a long time, a good long time.
Dr. Hall, please.
What are you talking about?
All the ambulances, the police, never had a thing like this happen before. All the excitement and what Herman did, just terrible. That's all terrible.
Miss Baker, would you wait just a minute, please?
Will somebody tell me what this is all
Hello,
about?
Doc Hall. This is Joe Friday. Yeah. Now, we're here now. She is. You sure about that, right? Yeah, well. Hey, Doc. Right. No, we'll call him right now. Yes, it does. Right. Bye. Georgia Street.
Yeah?
Ms. Rockman died. It was something else.
What?
She wasn't beaten. She was shot to death.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. Years ahead of them all.
Chesterfield is years ahead of all cigarettes.
Chesterfield quality is highest. Here's the proof.
Recent chemical analyses give an index of good quality for the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. The index of good quality table, which is a ratio of high sugar to low nicotine, shows Chesterfield quality highest.
Chesterfield quality highest.
15% higher than its nearest competitor.
Chesterfield quality highest.
31% higher than the average of the 5 other leading brands. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this?
Chesterfield. First with premium quality and best for you.
Try Chesterfield today. Regular or king size.
9:10 p.m. We called the crime lab, and Ray Pinker and a crew were sent out to check the physical evidence at the scene. We contacted Ed Barrett at the hospital, but he said the woman had not regained consciousness. Frank and I went upstairs to talk with Mr. and Mrs. Harris. They gave us substantially the same story we'd gotten from Lily Davis. They agreed that when Rockman went into the bedroom to see his wife, they'd heard loud voices but nothing else. They stated positively that as far as they knew, there'd been no shot fired while they were in the Rockman apartment. 9:17 p.m. We checked with the other people in the apartment building. None of them could report having heard a shot. From them, we got the same story of Mrs. Rockman's actions. Some of the neighbors said that they didn't get along with her. Others seemed to understand her feelings. 9:22 p.m. We checked back with Ray Pinker and the crew from the crime lab.
We didn't spend a lot of time here, Ray. The husband looked good for it. We were trying to round him up.
Shooting was a real surprise, huh? Looked like a beating to us. We couldn't tell. The boys from Georgia Street got her out of here right away.
Yeah.
Did you come up with anything, Ray?
Yeah, a couple things. How you fellas got it figured?
Well, talking to the neighbors, looks like the husband does.
Talked to him?
No, he walked right out after it happened. Got out a broadcast on him. Nothing's turned up yet, though.
Mm-hmm.
How's it look to you, Ray?
Well, I'm not sure I can go along with you guys on the husband.
Yeah?
I talked with Doc Hall. We aren't going to be able to know for sure till they post the body. Woman was slapped around, we know that.
Yeah, we saw her. It looked pretty brutal to us.
You mean the black eyes?
Yeah.
What Doc Hall says, that didn't come from a beating. He says the bullet did it.
Was he pretty sure about it?
It looks like it. Autopsy will prove it.
Where'd you find the gun?
Under the bed. Over here, right side.
Mm-hmm.
Indentation on the floor here. Evidently fell from her hand, bounced back under the bed.
Any prints on it?
Lifted 3 clean ones.
You been able to make them?
Lifted some from the dressing table over there. Perfume bottles, mirror. Looks like they might belong to the dead woman. Check them for sure later.
And you figure maybe she did it herself then, huh?
Well, it's beginning to shape up.
Well, how about the shot, Ray? Nobody we've talked to heard it.
Here's the explanation for that. This pillow here. See the bullet hole here? Burn?
Yeah.
Doc Hall says she was shot in the back of the right ear. She must have held the gun in the pillow. That muffled the sound. What noise there was wouldn't be heard very far.
Well, how can you be sure it was suicide, Ray?
Just an idea now. We roll the dead woman's prints, run a blotter test on her, see if she fired the gun. Check for nitrate, we'll know for sure.
Well, how long will that take?
I'll be finished in an hour or so. I'll let you know then. From where I sit, though, it looks like she did it herself.
Yeah. I still don't understand about the black eyes, though.
Well, I get it. The bullet entered just behind the right ear. Passed behind the eyes. I've seen it a couple of times before.
Yeah, but Doc Hall said that she'd been slapped a couple of times, Ray.
Yeah. Said he found a couple of bruises on her cheeks. Not enough to do any damage, though. Sure not enough to kill her.
Mr. Friday? Mr. Friday?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you come right over to my place? Herman's on the phone.
What's that?
Mr. Rockman. He called to find out how Hazel was.
All right.
Phone's right there.
Thank you. Hello? 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 He's not there now. What'd he say?
Well, he asked me if I knew how Hazel was. I told him that she was dead, and then I asked him where he was.
Did he tell you?
No. He just said for me to tell people that he was sorry he did it, for me to tell them that he didn't mean it.
Mm-hmm.
He said he didn't mean to kill Hazel.
Well, the way it looks, he didn't do it.
Then you better find him right away.
Yeah?
He thinks he did, and he's going to kill himself.
We talked to the landlady, Ruth Baker, but she was unable to tell us where Herman Rockman was employed. Lily Davis told us that he was a car salesman employed at a lot in the south end of town. We asked Miss Davis to stay by our phone in the event that Rockman called back and to let us know immediately if he did. We found an address book in the desk in the living room of the apartment, and we began to call Rockman's friends and relatives. None of them had seen him or could tell us where he worked. 9:45 p.m. It had been 20 minutes since the husband of the dead woman had called and said that he was going to kill himself. At 9:46 p.m., we contacted a brother-in-law of the dead woman, and he told us that as far as he knew, Rockman had been employed by the Bateman Auto Agency in Gardena. We got the number from information, and I put in the call. Hello, is this the Bateman Auto Agency? Well, this is Sergeant Joe Friday, Los Angeles Police Department. Yes, sir. Do you have a Herman Rockman working for you? Yes, sir, that's right. ROCKM. Uh-huh. I see. When was that? Yeah. You any idea where he's working now? Uh-huh. Yeah, sure, I understand. Yeah, well, have you got the number? Fine, yeah. Would you know if they're open this time of night? I see. Okay, all right, sure, I'll hold on.
How about it?
Says Rockman did work for him. He hasn't seen him in a couple of... Yes, sir. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's 03. Right? Yes, sir. Thanks very much. Says he's heard Rockman's working for a company out on Washington Boulevard now. Left him a couple of weeks ago. Hello. Do you have a Herman Rockman working there? Hello. Hello. Somebody answered. As soon as I asked about Rockman, he hung up.
Think it was him?
There's no way of telling. We better check on it quick.
You got the address?
Yeah, it ought to take us about 5 minutes to get there.
Let's go. We still got a chance.
9:50 p.m. We left the apartment and we drove out Westlake Avenue and turned down to Washington Boulevard. We traveled Code 3, but because of the possibility of alarming Rockman, we turned off the sirens 6 blocks from the address of the used car lot. 9:54 p.m. We got to the place. The lot was dark. At the rear, in back of a line of cars, we could see a small shack. I hope he's here.
Yeah. There's no lights on.
The door's locked.
Let's try the side. There's a window around there.
Right.
Can you see anything?
No, the window's dirty. Got your flashlight?
Yeah, here you go.
Give me it. How about it? He's in there. Looks like he's out. Come on. Let's hit it. Right.
Pull the gas. Kill your flashlight.
Right. I'll get him out of here. You want to get that heater?
Right. The window's stuck.
Break it. How about it? He's still alive. Fresh air should bring him around.
Yeah.
Rockman. Come on, Rockman. You're all right. Come on. Sit up.
Why'd you do it? Why'd you stop me?
No reason for you to kill yourself.
I got a reason. I killed Hazel. I didn't mean to. I loved her more than anything. I didn't mean it. I didn't know I hit her that hard.
All right, settle down. You didn't kill her, Rockman.
Nobody asked you to come down here. I called you to take care of her. I knew it was too late. I killed her. She's dead, and it's my fault. Why'd you come here? Why'd you stop me?
All right, now take it easy, will you, Rockman? Straighten yourself out here. You didn't kill your wife, Rockman. You understand?
What?
We don't think you killed her. We think she did it herself.
Huh? Oh. Well, she wasn't well. She was sick. She didn't know what she was doing. She did the wrong thing, didn't she? Her way wasn't right. I loved her, very much.
Yes, sir, we understand.
Doesn't really make any difference. You stop me. No difference.
Sir?
Doesn't make any difference that you stop me. I loved her. No difference at all.
How's that?
I died with her.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 15th, an inquest was held in the coroner's office in and for the county of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that inquest.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, next Sunday, June 21st, is Father's Day. Your neighborhood dealer has the special Chesterfield Father's Day carton on sale right now. So remember the guy who never forgets you. Don't give him just any cigarette. Give him premium quality Chesterfields, regular or king size. They're best for him.
At the coroner's inquest, it was decided that the wound that killed Hazel Eileen Rockman was self-inflicted. The death was listed as a suicide. Her husband, Herman George Rockman, was not held. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, June Whitley, Lillian Byatt. Script by John Robinson, Ben Alexander. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis Show, Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfields. Either regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.
Monday at 8:30, and CBS brings you Jeff Regan, Investigator, starring Frank Graham as Regan, with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery and suspense and adventure in tonight's transcribed story, A Fire for Romano.
It started with a little man with deep wrinkles in his forehead and troubles on his mind. Then there was a kid traveling fast in a hot rod. And then there were two women. One who didn't deserve to die, but did. And another one who did deserve to die, but didn't. It was a sunny, healthy Chamber of Commerce Tuesday that I wandered into my boss, the Lyon's office. Got a surprise. No Anthony J. Lyon. Then I remembered he was on vacation. Yeah. It's made it look like an even sunnier, healthier Tuesday. Let's see, the beach or the track or... That was before the door opened right behind me, and the aforementioned little man with wrinkles walked in.
Mr. Regan?
Huh?
You are Mr. Regan, the detective?
Yeah.
Please, Mr. Regan, I need your help. Could you help me?
I'm afraid I didn't get your name.
I am Romano. Elio Romano.
Well, sit down, Mr. Romano.
Thank you. What do you say, Mr. Regan?
Very nice fit. What? What's that? Oh, just the chair. Fits pretty good.
The chair fits?
Yeah, my boss is on vacation. I'm just trying out his chair.
I see.
Yeah. Suppose you tell me about your problem. You're needing help, Mr. Romano.
Oh, yes, Mr. Regan. It's true. I do need help. My store. It's my store.
Store.
I have a smaller grocery store. It's on the 6th Street. It's my own little store, and I'm very
Romano,
proud.
What about the store?
Oh, such a nice little place where people may buy food. We got everything, my Maria and I. We are the proprietors of this store. We also own it.
Fine. Now, what about...
It's called the Romanos. We have a big new neon sign. My someone is trying to destroy my store.
Now we're making headway. Tell me about the someone.
I don't know this someone. If I should get my hands on them...
Somebody breaks windows?
No. They tried to burn it down. They tried to burn my store.
When?
Last week, Thursday.
Did you call the police?
Yes.
And then what?
Well, they said there was an accident. They said I did this to my own store. Ma questa è una cosa che... Oh, mamma mia.
And you're sure it was no accident?
Mr. Regan, would I destroy the one thing Maria and I have given our lives to make? Would I so much as harm a single little glass window? No, I would not.
Where'd the fire start?
In the back room where the cans are stored.
What time of day?
Night. It was at night. My Maria and I, we sleep above the store. My Maria smelled the smoke, and together we put out the fire before the damage could become great.
Mm-hmm. That's the only time it happened?
No. The day before that, I found a light match in the waste basket. It was just as I was closing for the night. Well, I stopped this one very quick.
2 nights in a row. You're right, Romano. Doesn't look very accidental.
Oh, believe me, Mr. Regan, I would never do this to my store. Never.
Okay, Romano. I believe you. Suppose you and I run out there. Take a look. The little man with the wrinkled brow got in the car beside me, and we drove out 6th Street, past Alvarado, past Union. We parked in front of a small grocery store with a big neon sign over the door. Sign said very proudly, Romano's. And my client, Romano, glanced at it, nodded approvingly, and we walked in.
Elio, you're back safely.
That foolish woman. Of course I'm back safely.
And this is Mr. Regan, the detective.
See. Mr. Regan, my wife, Maria. You're a very foolish woman.
Elio, twice said too much.
How do you do, Miss Romano?
What a pig of a husband. If you worry about him and he says so, he call you foolish. If you do not worry about him, he say you don't care.
Maria. Mr. Regan is going to help us. He promised he will help us.
You told him everything, Elio.
Maria, please.
Everything, Elio. You promised me you would tell Mr. Regan everything.
See.
Well?
Suppose you tell me, Mrs. Romano.
See, Maria. Suppose you tell me.
Elio. Mr. Regan, in the first place, you must know that we do not have much money.
See, very little, Mr. Regan.
In the second place, you must know we do not have many friends.
See, very few.
Now, we'll work out the money later, Miss Romano. Tell me about the friends now.
Maria, tell me.
We believe certain things, Mr. Regan. We run our business our own way, and no one can tell us otherwise. We believe in being our own boss.
Mm-hmm. That's why you have very few friends?
See, that is why.
Mr. Regan, please, come with me. Right away, I'll show you where the fires start. Please, come with me.
Romano led me into a small back room behind the counter. There were shelves filled with canned goods and paper cartons. He showed me the wastepaper basket near the door. Easy to toss a match in through the window above it that opened onto the alley. There were a few charred pieces of wood here and there, but very little damage had been done. Still, if everything Romano said were true, it didn't look like an accident. It was while he was pointing out the burnt wood that a customer came in the front door. I moved over toward the doorway and listened.
Well, we'll see about that when I tell my neighbors.
It was then that things began to get interesting. I looked out. Plump, smug-looking woman, carrying a heavy purse, her eyes glaring behind rimless glasses.
That's your idea, eh? To force as many people in here as you can? Well, there certainly must be some law against people like you.
Please, Mrs. Wilson.
I just wanted to make sure, that's all. And I must say I got what I came for.
What was that all about, Mrs. Romano?
Oh, Mr. Regan, you heard.
Maria, what has she said to you?
Quiet, Romano.
Mr. Regan is right, Elio. It was enough.
It didn't sound like nothing, Mrs. Romano. What'd she mean by tell my neighbors?
No, we will not talk of it.
See, we will talk of it. Mr. Regan, this woman, this is Mrs. Wilson. She used to be our best customer. Then she turned on us. She tells all her friends not to come to our store.
Why?
Why? Because who knows why?
Oh, you have started it. Now you will finish, Elio. She does not buy from us because we would not let her tell us how to run our store.
See.
That's all there is to it?
See.
When did this start?
A week ago.
Oh. Same time the fires started.
See, the same... But, Mr. Regan, you don't think...
You hired me to think, Romano. I'll see you later.
Mr. Regan, where you going?
To talk to Mrs. Wilson. If I moved fast, I could find Mrs. Wilson. If I could find her, I could talk to her. She had answers, plenty of them. Plenty more than the Romanos gave her credit for. And then I saw her, a block away, walking fast. I followed. Around the corner, she turned up a walk and disappeared into a two-story apartment house. I was right behind her. The mailbox out front said 208, and when I got there, the door was just closing. A knock.
Yes?
Could I talk to you for a minute?
Young man, if you're selling
I'm not
something...
selling anything.
Then what do you want?
Just a couple of questions, Mrs. Wilson, about the Romanos.
Oh, so that's your game, is it? You're trying
I'm not
to tell
trying
me...
to tell you anything. We'd just better talk now, for your own good.
You go back and tell those people we don't want them around here. We don't want them in our neighborhood. Is that clear?
That's as good a place to start as any. Now we'll just...
Oh, no, you don't. You're not coming in without a warrant. I knew you were a policeman right away. They called you, those Romanos. Just like them to take advantage of our Constitution. But I know my rights as a citizen.
Lady,
I haven't broken any laws, you understand? It's them that cause all the trouble, them. And we don't want their kind around here. Now, good day.
So I had nothing after all. I got in my car, drove down toward police headquarters. And it wasn't that easy. Because behind me, starting at Alvarado, was a yellow Model A Ford. A yellow hot rod, and it wasn't behind me by accident. It stayed there 2 blocks, 10 blocks, 20. And whoever sat behind the wheel didn't care if I knew it. He stayed that way until we reached a block without traffic, and then suddenly the yellow car gunned up in the rearview mirror. And I could see a young kid hunched angrily over the steering wheel, and there wasn't any doubt about what a kid like that had on his mind or what he was going to do. He moved the car up close, next to mine, and yelled something angry kids yell, and suddenly his yellow coupe shot out ahead and cut into me. Like I figured. He tried to run me off the street onto the sidewalk. And now the yellow coupe was just a blur in the distance. I pulled off from the curb, eased into gear, and took my time driving to the police station. The police told me to check with the arson squad. The arson squad told me to check with the sergeant. And to make a rotten day just that much rottener, the sergeant turned out to be a guy I knew, named Bowles.
All right, what do you want, Regan?
Transferred from homicide, Bowles?
I don't need any of your lip today, Regan. I'm busy. What do you want?
You handle the Romano investigation?
Romano? Who's that?
It's the poor guy who happens to own a grocery store.
Romano. Yeah, I checked it out last week.
Find anything?
Sure. Scared little guy ought to watch where he tosses his matches.
That's all you could find.
When I want your advice, I'll ask for it.
Give, Bowles. I'm busy today myself.
Times must be tough, huh, Regan? You're taking a fee from a
Answer me, Bowles.
Okay. The guy had a fire. Know what caused it? Matches. Know the total damage? $10. Now, Regan, if you think we got enough men to stake out a two-bit...
Ever hear of putting out a fire before it starts, Bowles? You wouldn't have heard that.
I told you we haven't got enough men, Regan. Sure, we'd like to prevent it. Okay. But you need men, Regan. We haven't got them.
Okay, Bowles. What have you got?
There's no evidence of outside work.
Meaning what?
No evidence that anybody else started it, Regan.
Spell it out, Bowles.
Sure, I'll spell it out. Maybe somebody did start the fire on purpose. You know who'd gain by that, Regan? No, don't guess. Let me tell you. A character named Romano.
Bowles, if you think...
I didn't set it up, Regan. Somebody else did. For your information, this client of yours, Romano, has his grocery store well covered. You know what they call it, Regan? Fire insurance. Lots of fire insurance.
And that's what I got from Sergeant Bowles. I left the station, drove down to a chop house on 3rd Street, had myself a big dinner, and tried to think. Only it wasn't that easy. Ideas would fit together during the salad and go to pieces during the steak. By the time I got to dessert, it was anybody's guess. I paid the blonde waitress and drove out 6th Street, watching the streetlights go on and hoping one of them would shed some light on the problem. And when I got past Alvarado, I didn't have time to think. I stepped on the gas, drove faster, into streets becoming crowded, alive, into confusion and fire engines, into shouts and smoke. A man in a fire helmet directed me over to the side of the road, and I parked and got out and walked into the excitement and confusion and heat, and into a sweaty, curious, open-collared, open-mouthed, hot-eyed, staring mob, and there were shouts all around me. Hey, Joe. Hey, Edna. Hey, Pete. Come take a look. Romano's, the grocery store, burning down.
This is CBS, and you are listening to tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator, entitled A Fire for Romano.
A little man named Romano had hired me to find out who tried to burn down his grocery store, and I'd met an irate customer, an overworked cop, and a kid in a hot rod. Now I was back on 6th Street, back at Romano's little store, and there was a mob of excitement-hungry people yelling and cheering and shouting, while flames licked up the store walls and around the big new neon sign Romano had proudly shown me. And I was moving into the mob, trying to get closer, when a big burly man covered with soot and sweat shoved me aside.
Hey, stand back, will you please, mister?
Have you seen the owner?
Too many people to see anything, mister. Out of my way.
The big fireman moved on, and I followed him, letting him clear a path through the spectators, and up ahead I could see another big man. This one I knew.
Stand back there. Oh, Regan.
Rand, have you seen Romano, the owner?
What's he look like?
A little guy. Dark hair, mustache.
Stop control, Regan. I haven't seen anybody. Better...
Fire Chief Rand's shouts were lost in the crowd behind me as I moved and shoved and pushed my way around to the side of the burning grocery store. Somewhere in there was my client, Romano, and his wife, Maria. And then, stumbling out through the smoke, came a fireman. And he was dragging a man, a little man, coughing, spitting, screaming. It was Romano.
Easy. This is the man you were looking for, mister.
Maria, let me go, please. Let me go.
Romano, it's me, Regan.
Let me go in the name of God. Please let me go, Maria. I must get to my Maria.
Yo, take her, mister. I'll go back for her.
Frank, I got him.
Regan. Mr. Regan. Where is she? They left for my Maria.
Take it easy, Romano. They'll get Maria.
They must have saved her. I'm going to get to Maria. I'm going to get...
I pulled the little man away from the smoke and heat and people and stretched him out on the pavement. In a few minutes, his breathing became regular and the coughing stopped, and he slept. And 10 minutes after that, the big fireman came out with Maria and placed her on the pavement beside her husband. Only Maria wasn't coughing or breathing. She was dead. The ambulance took Maria and Romano away. The fire hissed steam where the firemen's hoses poured gallons of water. And soon even the crowd had lost interest. And only the hissing steam and smoke filled the cavity that had been Romano's grocery store. Fire Chief Rand came over to me.
Did you find him, Regan, that man you were looking for?
Yeah, Rand. I found him.
He okay?
Yeah. Yeah, he'll be all right. Not his wife.
Oh, sorry to hear that, Regan. We did the best we could.
I know. Rand, what started it?
I was just checking. So far, nothing conclusive.
You think it was an accident?
No. Went too fast. This one was planned, Regan.
Pyromaniac, huh?
I'm not too sure. The nuts usually stick around. Watch it. They get their kicks that way.
Check the crowds?
We always check the crowd. Nothing certain yet.
Okay, Rand. Thanks.
Regan, when you see Romano, tell him we did our best.
I left Rand examining the charred scraps of what was left of Romano's grocery store. I walked down the street, thinking, putting the twos with other twos and trying to make fours. And then I saw something up ahead, and I forgot about the twos and fours and moved faster. It was a yellow Model A Ford parked 3 blocks from the scene of the fire, sitting quiet, docile, far from the nearest streetlight. I got to it, started to look in. It was the car that had tried to run me off the street. It was...
Get away from there, mister.
I turned, saw a kid. The kid who'd driven the car into me. In his right hand, a revolver.
Come on, get away from it.
You like guns.
They get me things. Come on.
You also like matches.
Shut up.
You also like killing people.
Right!
He blinked when I said killing, and I drove across the sidewalk at his knees, and we went down together, rolling on the pavement and digging for the gun. And it was anybody's weapon until I felt the cold steel of it pressing between us. Saw the barrel moving up under my chin. Heard the report. Kid was gone. And I was holding a sticky, damp spot above my left ear, and when I pulled my hand away, it too was sticky and damp. I got up, rocked unsteadily on my feet, stumbled down to my car. I reached for the ignition, pushed the starter, and decided to wait. Voices and faces, and voices and lights, and a big blank wall to stare at. I waited, not being sure, and then I opened my eyes, and the blank wall was the ceiling, and the face was Sergeant Bowles. Who said it was just a scratch?
Lay down.
What's going on around here?
Said lay down. You want to hurt something or something?
Bowles, your humor stinks. Where are we?
Georgia Street Receiving.
Huh?
Only why Rand had bonded...
Rand brought me here.
He found you in your car. You were out. Way out.
Romano. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's okay.
His wife, Maria. Does Romano know?
Yeah, he knows.
Bowles.
Yeah?
You still figure Romano burned his own store down?
Shut up.
Like you said, Bowles, who would gain but Romano? Who, Bowles? Who?
Okay, so I was wrong, okay? We did our best.
After the crime. What did you do before it happened, Bowles?
Slow down, Regan. You're racing your motor. Besides, suppose you answer a couple of questions.
Okay. Just ask me. Bowles asked me, and I told him. And he folded his notebook and he walked out. I got up, checked my legs and the bandage over my left ear, glanced down the hospital corridor, and walked out. 30 minutes later, the cab let me off where I'd last seen that yellow coupe, and I began to check garages. And the first one I checked was behind the apartment building where Mrs. Wilson lived. And I got nothing. 30 minutes after that, I'd covered her side of the block and was on the last apartment across the street. 4 garages, side by side. First Chevy, second Dodge, third Ford. Not a new one. It was a coupe like the yellow one I was looking for, only this was black. Shiny black. Shiny black. That was worth something. I moved into the dark garage and looked closer at that Model A and reached out and touched the shininess and brought my finger back fast. Sticky. Wet. Newly painted.
What are you doing back here?
Short, fat, with a flashlight beam in my eyes.
Come on, speak up. What's your business?
Turn off your light.
Not a chance, mister. I'm on
I said turn it off.
Hey!
Whose car is this?
None of your business.
I said whose car?
This is my property, mister. You...
Talk!
It ain't my place to give out information on my tenant.
Oh, the owner lives in your apartment?
Well,
Does he?
Well, I rent that garage, mister. $5 a month.
But the guy who owns the car doesn't live here?
It ain't no guy, mister. Woman pays the bill.
A woman? A plump woman, wears rimless glasses.
Yeah.
Her name's Wilson, Mrs. Wilson.
Hey, that's...
Thanks.
Hey, you ain't got no right to ask me questions.
I moved around the building, across the street, double time. Double time up the stairs, up to the place I'd been earlier in the afternoon. It was late now, very late. But whether she liked it or not, Mrs. Wilson was getting a caller. I leaned on the buzzer, stayed on it. And midnight or not, Mrs. Wilson was going to answer if it took me home.
What's the meaning of this? The very idea... Oh, it's you. Well, see here.
I'm coming in, Mrs. Wilson.
I won't have this, you. I'm calling the manager. That's what I'm
I'm
going
coming
to do.
in, Mrs. Wilson.
You policemen have no right to disturb peace-loving citizens.
I'm not the police, Mrs. Wilson.
You're not the police? Well, in this case...
Not this time.
Get out of my house, do you hear? Get out of...
Shut up.
And what do you want?
Your son. If he is your son.
You're playing crazy. My son is out of town.
Really?
He's been gone since yesterday. He's visiting his aunt.
That right.
He left on the train for Santa Barbara. That's where my sister lives. Tommy left yesterday morning.
Tell me about Tommy.
He's a good boy. There's nothing he's done wrong. He's... what right have you got?
What right have you got covering up a murder?
Murder?
Sure, murder, Mrs. Wilson. When your kid set fire to Romano's store, somebody was killed. The law can call that manslaughter, Mrs. Wilson, but you and I know it's murder.
You're lying. You're making...
Why, Mrs. Wilson? That's all I want to know. Why? Why did you knowingly let your kid set fire to that store? What kind of a distorted brain...
You shut up! What those people got, they deserved. We don't want their kind in this neighborhood. We've got our rights.
Who's we?
Citizens. Real American citizens.
Oh, Romano's not, is that it?
There's no place here.
I think I'll just look around, Mrs. Wilson.
Where are you going?
Look around. Something brought this business to a boil.
You stay out of there!
Ah, I wasn't going in. But since you made a point of it. Kitchen.
You get out of here.
Now, why would you care if I looked in your kitchen, Mrs. Wilson? Interesting. Very interesting.
You've got no right to come in here and...
Sugar, soap, lots of it. Let's see. Say about 24 cans of coffee. A couple of cases of soap. And there's the sugar there.
I paid for it. It's my right to buy what I want. Romano can't tell me what I'm supposed...
Romano tried to tell you how much you could buy.
No dirty, filthy foreigner is going to tell me what I can...
That's right. You're an American. A real patriotic American.
Right.
The Constitution says you've got a right to buy as much as you want any time you want. You've got your rights. Remember, you're telling me that.
So I'll thank you to keep your nose out of my...
Your kind belongs behind bars, Mrs. Wilson.
What?
Your kind can't eat off the same table with the Romanos. Your kind belongs out back in a pig pen, where you can wallow in your soap and coffee and sugar and greed.
How dare you?
Get back with the pigs, Mrs. Wilson. Somebody left a loophole in the Constitution.
Why?
Stand right where you are, mister.
Well, that makes it complete.
Oh, Tommy. Oh, my Tommy.
I thought I stopped you once, mister.
Oh, he said such horrible things, Tommy. He said such terrible
I won't be
things.
saying much when I get through with him.
Then you get through with what?
Oh.
Haven't you killed enough for one night?
Killed?
Mrs. Romano's dead. Dead from the smoke and flames and hate your mother cooked up.
Oh, no. I wasn't going to kill her.
Sure, just a little fire. Burn them out of the neighborhood. It's your mother's idea.
Oh, Tommy, don't let him talk to me that
Sure,
way.
they always start that way, just a little hate. But it builds, doesn't it, kid? Starts with a fist, ends up with guns, lots of them.
But, Tommy.
I didn't mean...
Go on, shoot, kid. Make the neighborhood safe for Americans. Your mother's kind of Americans. Kind that breeds hate and greed and gets fat doing it.
Tommy, make him stop.
Shoot, kid. Go ahead, prove she's right, that you can kill because you're special like she is.
Tommy!
Give me that gun.
The gun.
Gun. Thanks. There must be something in the Constitution that fits you, Mrs. Wilson. And there was. Murder, arson, whatever you want to call the crimes of Mrs. Wilson. You might say she was fighting for a fifth freedom. The freedom of grab. And she won. The right to spend the next few years grabbing the bars of her own private cell. The next morning, I checked in down at the office of my boss, Anthony J. Lamb. Empty. Anthony J. on vacation. Way up in the mountains, breathing fresh air, living the hard, rugged life. Fishing, hunting, getting next to nature. And doing good. Thought about that as I sat down in his big swivel chair. Anthony J. Lyon, Detective Bureau. Regan speaking.
I have a long-distance call for Mr. Jeffrey Regan from Mr. Lyon in Mammoth Lakes, California.
Okay, I'm Regan.
The call is collect. Will you accept the charges?
What else? Okay, operator.
Jeffrey! Is that you, Jeffrey?
Lyon, how's the fishing?
What's that? Oh, terrible connection. I can't hear a thing.
I said, how's the fishing?
Fishing? Oh, yes. Fine. Wonderful. Spend every minute out on the lake. Open air. Exercise. Just a minute, Jeffrey. Certainly I'm in for $5. Deal, Charlie. Yes, really roughing it, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yes, generally fine weather. Just what I needed. All this outdoor exercise. Pardon me, Jeffrey. These fishermen keep asking advice. I've got aces over queens. Sorry, gentlemen. My part again. That's why I called you, Jeffrey.
Fish biting that good, huh?
Biting? I've never seen so many suckers, fish in my life. You practically have to fight them off. Jeffrey, this exercise is doing me so much good.
Yeah, Lion.
Do you mind if I stay another week?
Jeff Regan, Investigator, is written tonight by William Frug, produced and directed by Sterling Tracy, and stars Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Original music is by Dick Arant. Jeff Regan, Investigator, is heard transcribed each week at the same time over CBS. Bob Stevenson speaking, and inviting you to be with us again next Sunday at 8:30 for more suspense and mystery and adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, first with premium quality and best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a missing persons detail. You get a call that a man is missing. He failed to return from his work the day before. There are no leads to his whereabouts. Your job? Find him. Here is Chesterfield's record with smokers, and important to you.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report of a doctor who has been examining a group of Chesterfield smokers for a full year and 2 months as a part of a program supervised by a responsible independent research laboratory. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this? Chesterfield. First with premium quality. Chesterfield. First choice of young America. And that's from a survey made in 274 colleges and universities. Try Chesterfields today. Chesterfield. Regular or king size. They're much milder and best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, June 16th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of Homicide Division, missing persons detail. My partner is Frank Smith. The boss is Chief of Detectives Thad Brown. My name's Friday. I was on my way back to the office, and it was 11:59 p.m. when I got to room 24. Missing persons.
What was his mental condition when you last saw him, Mr. Ford? Where'd you last see him? Was he driving his car? Mm-hmm. And what time was that? Yes, ma'am, but what was the exact time? I see. And your address? On the phone, please. Now, can you think of anything you forgot to tell me? Right. Right. Oh, you gave me that before. Mm-hmm. Now, was your husband a drinking man, ma'am? I see. Okay, Miss Borg, we'll make a check. Call you back. Yes, ma'am, we'll do our best, thanks. Anything? Man by the name of Borg missing. I'm sure glad my wife doesn't call for help every time I miss a meal. Trouble with most guys is they let a woman keep tabs on them, check on everything they do.
Let me see that 9/7, will you?
Yeah, there you go. It's everything his wife gave me.
Mm-hmm. When you get the jails and records, I'll check Georgia Street County Hospital in the morgue. It looked like a routine investigation. Lots of things can keep a man from getting home. A few drinks, sick friend, unexpected business conference, a flat tire on an isolated road, maybe just boredom. But there are other things that can keep a man from getting home. It had to be checked out. Henry Borg, 51, male, white American, address 1571 East Berendo Street, had failed to return home at the usual time on Monday. His wife called one of the men he worked with and found that he hadn't been at work all day that day. He still hadn't come home the next afternoon. She called us. I checked the Gaga file to see if he was one of our regular customers, mental case or alcoholic. He wasn't. Frank and I checked the jails, the hospitals, and the morgue. They had no record of him there. No John Does fitting his description. And Borg had no criminal record. We could assume that he was at least alive. Frank called Mrs. Borg back, told her not to worry, and asked her to call us immediately if she heard from her husband. Wednesday, 3:10 p.m., still no word of Henry Borg. The day watch had made another check of the jails, the hospitals, and the morgue. Mrs. Borg called 3 times. The day watch officer's notes described her as very upset. I called her back and asked her to come in the next day to file a missing persons report. I asked her also to bring in the best picture she had of her husband. Thursday, 2:40 p.m. Mrs. Borg was waiting with Frank when I got to work. She'd already filled out the Form 316. She was holding an aging Pekingese dog in her arms.
Joe, this is Mrs. Borg.
How are you, ma'am?
My partner, Joe Friday, ma'am.
Hello, Officer Friday. I talked to Mr. Smith and filled out the paper. Here's that picture you wanted.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, ma'am.
It's a good likeness.
Mm-hmm. Now, Ms. Borg, I see here that you haven't put anything down under personal habits for your husband.
Well, I don't understand.
Well, does your husband drink at all, ma'am?
Henry? No. He takes a glass of beer with his supper when he comes home, but he's not what a person would call a drinking person.
Gamble?
Gamble?
Yes, ma'am. Cards, dice, horses?
Oh, I should say not. He never does nothing like that.
You've never known him to gamble at all, then?
Henry? I should say not.
Now, Miss Borg, you say here that your husband has no relatives.
Oh, only brother Ed, older brother, but I didn't put him down. We don't know where he lives. Haven't heard a word about him 9-10 years.
Mm-hmm. What about your family? Your husband friendly with your family?
My family hasn't spoke to me since the day I married Henry Borg.
Mrs. Borg, I see you only have one friend listed, a Hal Bishop. That's the man your husband rode to work with, isn't it?
Yes.
Do you know Mr. Bishop's address?
No, I don't.
Did your husband ride to work with Bishop every day? You say he left his car at home Monday. Did he ever drive it to work?
Well, he usually drove our car, but then he'd ride with Mr. Bishop pretty often, too. I didn't think anything about it. It didn't seem like anything.
Well, did your husband spend much time with this Bishop?
No, just work. Henry used to like to spend his free time with me.
All right, now, ma'am, please don't get upset here. Did your husband have any financial problems, debts that were worrying him?
Financial difficulties, like bills and things? No, Henry always took care of it.
Do you think there might have been anything you didn't know about that was worrying him?
Officer, if Henry was worried about anything, I'd have known it. He'd have told me for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about your home? Do you own it?
What do you mean?
Was there a mortgage on it, I mean?
Yes.
Do you have the pink slip on your car?
No.
Well, is it possible that your husband was behind in the payments?
No, he would have told me.
Well, did he owe money down where he worked?
No, not that I know of.
His job, maybe. Was he worried about that?
Mr. Snyder, that's his boss. Well, he always said Henry would have a job as long as he was in the contracting business. Henry makes good wages.
Mm-hmm. Now, you say here his mental condition was good. Has it ever been poor? You ever know your husband to black out?
How do you mean, black out?
Well, has he ever suffered from lapse of memory? Is there any history of epilepsy in his family?
History of epilepsy? Oh, no, not Henry. Why, he's a healthy man. He hasn't had a sick day.
Now, Miss Borg, have you and your husband been getting along lately?
What do you mean by a thing like that, officer? You think Henry and I had a fight, and that's why he left. Is that what you think?
No, ma'am. We don't think anything here, but these are the things we have to check out.
Well, it's a waste of time. Don't you think I'd have already told you that? If Henry and I'd had a fight, I'd have told you first off. It's the first thing I'd have said.
Yes, ma'am.
Something's happened to my husband, officer. I just know it. Something's happened to him.
Did you and your husband go out together much, ma'am?
Well, one night last month we went to the Coconut Grove, there in the Ambassador Hotel, and we used to go up the movies pretty regular.
Was he in the habit of leaving the house at night alone?
No, just when he went out with Francine.
Francine?
Yes, our Pekingese here.
3:55 p.m., Thursday, June 18th. Began to look as if Henry Borg was in trouble. From what we'd been told, he wasn't a man who had just suddenly decided to leave home. We had to find out if the facts we'd been given were accurate. Thursday, 4:10 p.m. We contacted Borg's friend, Hal Bishop, just as he was leaving the construction job where they both worked. He said he hadn't gone by Borg's house to pick him up Monday because Borg hadn't asked him to. The way they worked it, Borg always told him the day before if he wanted to ride. At first, Bishop said he hadn't noticed anything strange about Borg recently. Then he decided Borg had been a little irritable the last few days. He said it wasn't like him to be irritable. That he'd never known Borg to miss work before, and that he'd never heard of any trouble between Borg and his wife. He said that Borg didn't talk much about his wife. We called on the neighbors of the Borgs. They said nothing to indicate any flaws in Mrs. Borg's story. Henry and Martha Borg were average people in an average neighborhood. He went to work every morning at 7 a.m. Came home at 5:15. His neighbors didn't know much about him. He was a quiet man. They lived in the same house for 13 years. Martha Borg was 47, maybe 48. They never had visitors. After 13 years in the same neighborhood, she apparently had no close friends. Two of her neighbors had noticed that in the past year, Martha Borg would leave her house 3 or 4 times a week at 11 a.m. Always at 11 a.m. She invariably got back before her husband did. The neighbor said she usually brought some shopping home with her. They did go out frequently in the evenings. However, there were no reports of family trouble between Martha and Henry Borg. Thursday, 6:20 p.m. We talked to Adolph Wernicke, whose grocery store was on the corner a half a block from the Borg home. They'd been trading with him ever since they moved to the neighborhood.
I don't know what to tell you about Mr. Borg, officer. He always seemed like a nice fellow to me. Didn't say much, but nice. Sure is funny him disappearing like that.
You got any idea if he had any trouble with his wife?
No, that wife, she's a funny one. Different from Mr. Borg as day and night.
Well, how's that, sir?
I don't know. High hat, sort of. She's all right, I guess. Kind of show-off, though. Kind of person who dresses up when she goes shopping around the corner. Likes to buy fancy groceries, stuff I never get calls for. Like those anchovies up there on the shelf. Now, I'll bet you I won't sell 2 cans of them in a year, but Mrs. Borg comes in and she'll buy them. Now, Mr. Borg, he don't like that kind of stuff at all. Told me so himself.
Yes, sir, but how'd they get along? Do you ever say anything about his wife?
To tell you the truth, officer, I don't know. As far as a man and his wife arguing, I don't pry. Hurts business. Come to think of it, he did say one thing. Well, it was a long time ago, about 2-3 months ago, maybe more.
But what was that? What'd he say?
Well, he came in here, just about like this time it was. Didn't buy anything, just kind of hung around. Remember, he seemed out of sorts. I asked him if he was feeling all right. Said he was. Just felt like he had to get away from the house. Now, that'll happen to a man. Just feel like you got to get away for a while. But you know what I mean, officer.
No, sir, I'm not married. Thursday, 7:50 p.m. Borg's description and the circumstances of his disappearance have been broadcast to all units. Still no word. 4:10 p.m., Friday, June 19th. We checked Borg's union. He hadn't reported for a new job. We filed an all-points bulletin. 8:05 p.m. I checked back into the office. Mrs. Borg was waiting.
Sergeant Friday, I'd like to know just what's going on around here. My husband has been missing almost a week, and I don't see why something hasn't been done about it. If you can't find my husband, then why don't they put more men on this case? This is a terrible thing. I'm a woman alone, and the police haven't done a single thing. My husband may be dead. He may be dead, and nobody's doing anything about it.
In my work, you hear it every day, but you can't get mad. It's against regulations, and you can't blame them either. They're in trouble, so you let them talk. You try to explain. They don't listen, but you try.
Well, we're doing all we can, ma'am.
They're always talking these days about giving policemen more money. It seems to me there are certain policemen who aren't even earning the money they get right now.
Yes, ma'am.
What are you doing for my husband?
Miss Borg, here's the file on it. Now, we've made regular checks on the hospitals, the jails, and the morgues. Thursday night, when you came in to file that Form 316, we had a complete description of your husband broadcast to all radio units in the city. It was teletyped to every police division. Today, we sent out an all-points bulletin over the state wire. Every police department, sheriff's office, and highway patrol unit in the state knows that your husband is missing. Here, you can see the bulletin right here, ma'am. Now, in these cases, ma'am, we start with nothing. We don't know where they've gone or why they've gone. Most of them turn up by themselves. Some of them don't. We do everything we can to find the ones that don't. Miss Borg, there are 4,000 police officers in this city looking for your husband. 8:57 p.m. When we thought Mrs. Borg was feeling better, we sent her home. We reminded her again to notify us immediately if she heard from her husband. 9:10 p.m. The desk at Central called and told us that they'd picked up a John Doe. From what they said, he apparently was suffering from amnesia. While I went down to Homicide to check out some reports, Frank went over to Central to see the man they picked up. 9:16 p.m. Frank came back to the office.
Joe?
Yeah?
Just checked out that John Doe at Central.
Anything on him?
Yeah, it's Henry Borg.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. Years ahead of them all.
Chesterfield is years ahead of all cigarettes.
Chesterfield quality is highest. Here's the proof.
Recent chemical analyses give an index of good quality for the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. The index of good quality table, which is a ratio of high sugar to low nicotine, shows Chesterfield quality highest.
Chesterfield quality highest.
15% higher than its nearest competitor.
Chesterfield quality highest.
31% higher than the average of the 5 other leading brands. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this?
Chesterfield. First with premium quality and best for you.
Try Chesterfield today. Regular or king size.
9:18 p.m. Officers Gorman and Mayer brought in Henry Borg, alias John Doe. They found him wandering around in the 900 block down on South Spring Street, the financial district. Wasn't much reason for anybody to be loitering around there at that time of night. All the businesses in the area were closed. The officers investigated. When they questioned the suspect, he would not or could not reply. They took him to Central Division, where the watch commander, Lieutenant Hale, had him shaken down. His wallet was missing. No papers, no identification. In his pockets, the officers found 8 cents, a key ring, and several keys. No cigarettes, no matches. He was dressed in a good quality worsted suit, very rumpled. No tie, no hat. Gorman and Mayer had rolled his prints at the city hall and sent them to latent prints for classification. During this time, no one let him know that we had any idea who he was. The two officers that had picked him up stood by. Frank and I walked over to where he was sitting.
Do you know who you are?
Feel sick? Been drinking, maybe? Would you have a rough night? Look, if you can talk, mister, I think you better make things a lot simpler here. We're trying to help you. How about telling us who you are?
Maybe there's something wrong with you, mister, but we don't think so. We want to know who you are. We want you to tell us. If you don't, the only thing we can do is let them book you at city jail as a John Doe. That's the law. Now, look, if you're trying to hide something, if you're wanted, we're going to know it in a few minutes anyhow. If you want to wait, we'll wait it out with you. You want us to think you're an amnesia case, is that it? Well, maybe you got a good reason, but it won't work. I've been in this department a long time. I've seen a lot of phony amnesia cases. I've only seen one real one, and he didn't act like you. You want to know what I think? I think you're pulling a phony.
Come on, how about it, mister? I got it. Missing persons, Friday. All right. Yeah. You bet. Thanks very much. Right. Okay. That was latent prints, mister. They got your fingerprints classified. Now, we know you're not wanted for anything.
Look, we know you're not a bum. Your clothes are good, and you look like a guy who takes good care of himself.
A man like you doesn't walk around without a wallet.
What happened to you?
You got a problem? Tell us about it. Maybe we can help you. Now, why don't you tell us who you are?
You probably got a wife. She must be mighty worried about you right now.
All right. Book him.
I lost my wallet.
How?
I don't know how.
Where?
I don't know where I've been.
Now, you listen to me, mister. We want to know who you are. We want to know where you've been, and we want to know right now.
I don't know who I am.
Let me see your hands.
What?
Your hands. Come on, hold them up. Let me see them. That's it. Now, I'm going to tell you something about yourself, mister. You work for a living, don't you? Hard work with your hands.
Like a mason, maybe, huh?
Yeah, maybe you're a mason or a hod carrier. You could be a painter, some kind of construction work, I'd say. Something like a plasterer, for instance, huh?
You couldn't be a plasterer by any chance, could you, mister?
I don't know.
Okay. You ready to talk to us now, Henry?
I wasn't trying to fool you. I was only trying to fool myself.
Now, we've been looking for you since Tuesday, Borg.
Your wife's pretty worried.
I'm not going back. No matter what you do, I'm not going back.
We're not going to make you go back. That's up to you, Borg.
All they pay us for, mister, is to find you, to make sure you're okay. None of our business if you go back.
I'm not going back.
All right, now, look, you're pretty upset, Borg. Why don't you tell us about it?
It's crazy. It's crazy what I did. It doesn't make any sense. You fellas, you wouldn't be interested. Maybe I'll just go. If it's all right with you, I'll just go.
Yeah, it's all right. It's okay if you want to. Look, we're going to be around here another hour. We haven't got much to do. Our work's all cleaned up. We're just about ready to go home. Why don't you stick around and talk to us, huh? We'd kind of like to hear what happened.
Yeah. Just might help to clear things up in your mind if you talked about it.
Oh, it's crazy. I know it's crazy, but I guess I do want to tell somebody about it.
How about a cigarette? Will that help?
Yeah.
Here, I'll give you a match.
I am a man 50 years old. I work hard. I learned my trade as a boy of 16. I've been at it ever since. My wife and me, we got a new car. We got our own home, almost paid for. A man my age, when he gets home nights, he wants to take it easy. Read the paper, watch the television. Bought a $400 TV, 21-inch screen.
Yeah.
You want to know what happens when I get home? She wants to go out. It don't make any difference how tired I am. It don't make any difference if I've been working hard all day. She wants to go out. Do you know what that's like?
Well, it doesn't sound like the reason a man would leave home, boy.
I don't mind it once in a while, if it was just once in a while, but she's after me every minute I'm home. Here for the last few years, it's been every night. I don't know what's come over her. She didn't used to be like that. Martha used to be a sensible woman. Now she acts silly like a young girl. She's different. Goes in for fancy clothes, all kinds of fancy food, even anchovies, and I don't like anchovies. Last month, I swear, she even made me take her down to the Ambassador Hotel. Imagine me at the Ambassador Hotel. All I ever hear from her is we've just got a few years left to have our fling. I don't want any fling. I'm a plasterer. That's hard work. I get home, I want to rest. It isn't like I cared if she goes out. She goes to the movies almost every day. Goes before noon, she tells me, before the prices go up. I don't care about the money. I want her to have a good time, the clothes, the things like that. I don't care. I love my wife. I guess you think I'm crazy after what I did, but I love my wife.
I see, sir.
And that dog, that Francine. What kind of a name is that for a dog? You ought to hear her talk to it like it was a person.
How long you had the dog, Borg?
I don't know. 2-3 years.
Well, the reason I asked seems funny. You just decided to leave home last Monday. Dog's been around 2 or 3 years. The ambassador thing was last month, you said.
Well, what did it? It was the lessons.
Lessons?
The dancing lessons.
What?
But there's this social club up around Pico and Figueroa. People go there to dance. People our age, she says. Only I can't dance. That's when she gets this idea I got to take dancing lessons. Did you ever hear of anything like that? A man my age has got to take dancing lessons?
That's when you left.
That was Sunday afternoon, when she got this idea. She kept picking at me all afternoon. It really got me. I thought about it all night. I couldn't sleep. Monday morning, I just didn't go to work. I got drunk instead. Got sick, too. Just couldn't think of anything else to do. Guess you know the rest. I lost my tie, my wallet, lost my hat, too. And they picked me up. I was just kind of wandering around when they picked me up. Seems like a shame when a man can't even go home.
Mm-hmm. You sure you don't want to go home now, Borg? Maybe if you talk things over with your wife.
No, it wouldn't do any good. Nothing I could say to her would do any good. I can't go home.
Well, it sure has been interesting hearing you talk, Mr. Borg. It's almost like hearing somebody tell about me, remember, Joe?
Yeah.
You had something like this?
Had it. With me, it was canasta, though. I hate cards, a waste of time. Yeah, I sure thought it was the end for me and Faye. Remember, Joe?
But it wasn't?
No, for a while there, it sure looked like I was going to lose my happy home. Guess I would have, too, but I talked turkey to her. You know what I mean, Borg?
No. What do you mean?
Talk turkey to him. Make him understand. You let a woman push you around, Borg, you're dead.
Well, with Martha...
Look, they're all the same. I sat her right down on the sofa, and I said, now look, Faye. And I told her what the score was. She took it, too. It's the only way to do. You try what I say, Borg. You'll see I'm right.
I can just see Martha if I ever tried to put my foot down.
That's what I thought. I was all set to give it up. Move in with Joe here, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Then I figured I might as well at least get a load off my chest. Once I got started, I lost my temper. You know, it's a funny thing. Faye's always thought more of me since then. You ask her. She'll tell you so herself. Says she respects a man who'll stand up for his own rights. Right, Joe?
Yeah.
I don't know. With me, I don't think it would work.
Sure it can. Now, Borg, you listen to me. You tell her you're a working man. Tell her when you get through work, you want to take it easy, and nobody's going to run you. Set her straight, Borg. Get tough if you have to. She won't give you any trouble after that.
I just don't know. Martha...
Won't do any harm to try it.
I'd like to see Martha's face just once if I even told her to shut up. I wouldn't want her to have anything handy to throw.
Borg, look, it's 12:10. We got to be getting home now. You take my advice. You go home, too. Have a talk with her. See if you can't work it out.
No, Sergeant. Thanks a lot, but I can't go home.
Well, like I told you, it's none of our business, but I think you ought to try.
Well...
Here. Well, look, you're going to need car fare. Here's $1. You take this and go on home. That'll get you there.
Well, okay. You'll get this back, Sergeant. I'll pay it back to you. I guess maybe you're right. Can't hurt anything to try.
That's the stuff.
Thank you a lot. I didn't mean to put you fellas out this way.
Good luck to you, Borg.
You'll see, it'll work.
Maybe it'll work. Well... But I don't know. Martha.
I'll get out of cancellation, Joe. That should wrap it up, huh?
Yeah.
What time did you say it was?
It's 12:10.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I better make a phone call first.
This time of night? Why? What's the matter?
I just remembered I told Faye I'd call her.
Friday, July 28th. A month had passed since Henry Borg had left our office to go home. We'd heard nothing further from him or his wife, and we assumed that they had reconciled their problems. 6:10 p.m.
Officers?
Oh, hello there, Borg. Nice to see you again.
Hi, Borg.
I was afraid maybe you fellas wouldn't remember me. It's been a while. I tried to get out and see you before this.
Well, fine. How are things going?
Did it work out like I said?
I brought you something, Sergeant. Some cigarettes for both of you. Like you to have them. I hope it's the right brand.
Well, yes, sir. That's the right brand, all right, but you don't owe us anything.
I want you to have them.
That's all right, sir. You keep them.
All right. Well, anyway, here's that $1, the one you loaned me.
Okay, Borg. Thanks very much.
I sure owe you fellas a lot, and I really mean it. My wife and I, we sure appreciate what you fellas did for us. Was that clock right?
Yes, sir.
Uh-oh, gotta rush. Got an appointment. Be late if I don't hurry.
Appointment?
Yeah. Gotta get over to Arthur Murray's.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On July 31st, a meeting was held in the office of the captain of homicide. In a moment, the results of that meeting.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we hope you've been listening to Dragnet regularly, and we hope you've tried our Chesterfields. If you haven't tried them yet, then tomorrow's your day. Get a carton, regular or king size. It only takes one carton of Chesterfields to show you why Chesterfield is best for you. Believe me, they're much milder with a wonderful taste. America's best cigarette buy, Chesterfield.
Since the subject, Henry George Borg, had committed no crime, he was not held, and the case was officially marked closed. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Perrin, Irene Tedrow. Script by Paul Coates. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfields, either regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
By special request, Dragnet is being sent to our servicemen and women all over the world. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.
This one's about Pete Kelly. It's about the world he goes around in. It's about the big music and the big trouble and the big 20s. When they ask you, tell them this one's about the blues. Pete Kelly's blues. Kelly's Blues, starring Jack Webb, with story by Jim Moser and music by Dick Cathcart.
Number 417 Cherry Street is a standard speakeasy. The help is paid in cash. The books are burned at the end of the month. Every week we use 30 cases of booze and a pound of coffee. After salaries, there's gas and lights and a payoff to the Prohibition boys. In Kansas City, the price is good. For $100, they steer in the drunks and make one raid a year. The place is run by George Lupo. He's a quiet little guy who wouldn't give you the sweat off an ice pitcher. The beer's green and the gin's as young as yesterday and the music's loud. I'm Pete Kelly. I play cornet. We start every night about 10 o'clock and we play till they sweep out the broken glass. We don't draw any customers. We don't chase any away. The music is straight New Orleans. It started in the front parlors of Storyville and drifted up north. Some of it laid over in Chicago. That's where I got on. And wrote it out here with a piano player named Augie. Well, he's still with the band, but last night he was barely with it. We took a break about 11. Augie was late getting back. Might as well have stayed in there because he kept looking around the room, and the way the piano sounded, you'd think he had on the catcher's mitt. All right, that'll do it. Let's get off for a while, huh?
Sorry, Pete. Running a little behind tonight.
You haven't left the station. What's the matter, Augie?
I'm nervous. Take a look around. Near the door, back this way. Place is full of cops.
Don't forget it. Have Jake open a couple of windows. Take a walk. Get yourself in shape, huh?
Not till I find out which way to fall. These boys are here for heavy duty. I learned that out in the kitchen.
Now, let's duck behind the stand. All right, what about it?
You know that's Courtney?
I drink his beer, that's all.
Well, somebody shot Courtney up tonight out near Highway 40.
Well, that's too bad. He'd have drawn a good crowd downtown. Who killed him?
I don't know, but whoever he is in for a big night. The police are trying for him. So's his partner.
Well, let him play. How does our place fit into it?
I couldn't guess, but we'll find out soon. See the big guy that just walked in the door?
Yeah, boss cop?
Almost. It's Eddie Newman. That's Courtney's partner.
Come on, we better get back in the stand.
Kelly.
Yeah.
My name's Newman. Come outside.
Well, we're due to play.
I'll hear you later. Come on. You hear about Dutch, Courtney? Pick him out of the mud tonight.
Means nothing to me.
Does to me. Dutch was a friend.
Well, if it'll help, cry.
I'm short on time, Kelly. Now give me a rundown on Gus Trudeau.
There's nothing to say. He played for a while and he went to the boneyard.
You know him? You know his sister?
You'll have to ask Courtney about that. I haven't seen her since the old days.
You knew Gus well enough to figure he didn't like Dutch. Courtney didn't like him 1 pound.
Well, you can't blame him. Dutch sidestepped and paid Trudeau's way to jail.
Bookkeeping. I don't know anything about it.
All right, look, Newman, you're on the wrong track. This is a job killing. Your boy got frisky and somebody sent down a Chicago gun. The price tag shows.
Sorry, Trudeau's my pick.
What'd he hit him with? A high-powered rifle? Gus Trudeau's away up in Leavenworth.
He used to be. Gus went over the wall this morning. When he shows up, I want him.
Well, why pick me?
I've asked around. He'll head for you. He's broke. He'll need train fare.
No, not if he killed Dutch Courtney. Somebody will give him a railroad. When they dragged the blues out of the back room and moved them up front, there were 3 of the best leading the parade. They were all blowing cornets. One was Buddy Bolden, one was King Oliver, and the other was Gus Trudeau. Oh, he was a lot of music, but not much man. He picked me up on a union date on the south side of Chicago and taught me how to play. He got into me for a Boston 3-star cornet and gin for the rest of his life. When he got down to running errands for Dutch Courtney, I left for Kansas City. A couple of months later, Courtney needed a patsy, and Trudeau was it. He wound up with a 5-year stand at Leavenworth. But Gus never felt right unless he was in trouble. Only this time he cut me in for a piece, too. Well, I picked up a drink at the bar and fought my way back to the stand.
Anything wrong?
No. Did you finish the set?
One more to go, Jasmine.
All right, let's do it.
What's wrong, Pete?
A friend of ours killed Dutch Courtney. Jasmine.
right, let's get off for a while.
Now, who did you say killed Dutch Courtney?
Gus Trudeau.
What with? Brad? Trudeau's in jail.
No, not since this morning.
Which one of you is Kelly?
I am.
A friend of yours in town wants to see you right away.
Who is it?
He's waiting up at your room.
Did he give a name?
Just Gus.
An hour later, I was still looking for an out. It was a little after 2 a.m. Our base man, Red, loaned me his car keys, and I slipped out. I got on to 12th Street and picked up his Erskine coupe and headed up for my room. All the way out Grand Avenue, the streetlights were spending the rest of New Year's alone. Some guys with wide brooms were pushing at the confetti, and the fog was loafing down Washington Square. When I got to my place, I parked the car in back and headed up the stairs. College kids down at the end of the hall had their door open. Their party sounded young. I was looking for Gus when I opened the door, but he had a substitute. I knew her way back at 18th and Halstead. She was pretty and the fastest freight in town. That must have been a long time ago, because somewhere along the line she'd run into a batch of Wednesday weekends. She wasn't pretty anymore.
Hello, Pete.
Where's your brother?
I don't know where Gus is. That's why I'm here. I knew you'd be the first one he'd come to.
Yeah. Now what about the break?
I was up to see him 2 weeks ago. He didn't say anything about it. Pete, we've got to help him.
I've been hearing that since I met him.
You're the only one who remembers, Pete. You're the only one who cares.
Yeah, well, a lot of people care now. Eddie Newman wants him. The cops are looking hard.
I've got to find him before they do. You got to help Pete.
He was supposed to meet me. That's all I know. I'll wait for him.
He needs a hand, Pete. He's in deep.
Yeah, well, he's always in deep. Now, you do what you want, Madge. I ran front for Gus too long. I'm out of the habit now.
Please.
Gus wants cover. He can look for a police station.
Gus can get away. Some money and a car. That's all he needs.
It's going to take more than that to get out. Every cop in town's working tonight.
Oh, give him a chance, Pete. Help him.
No, thanks.
Gus has been good to you, Pete. He taught you music. He's been nothing but good to you.
I'm paid up. I bought his gin for 5 years.
Then do it for me. For what I used to be worth.
No, it's old. It was 80 years ago. I can't help it.
Do it for me. I haven't changed that much.
I have.
You're still the same.
You've been working at it.
You remember.
Yeah.
It's the same, Petey. It's just like the first time.
You never had a first time. How about a drink?
Will you help me, Pete? Find Gus. Get him out of town.
All right, $10. As far as I go, $10.25. Now I'm getting off.
Where you going?
Back to work. Tell Gus to take care of himself.
Hold it right there, Pete.
You stay too long in Chicago, Madge.
I bought the gun in Kansas City. Don't go for the door.
You better give it to Gus. He may need it.
We're going to find him. You're going to help me.
All right, come on. Give me the gun, Madge.
If I shoot, it'll hurt. Yeah.
Come on. Put it away, Madge.
Oh, stop it.
Who is she?
We'll trade. Who are you?
Cage. I work downtown on homicide. Who you got on your floor?
Madge Trudeau.
Tell me about her.
I knew her in Chicago. After that, I heard she did favors for Dutch Courtney. After that, I don't know.
Is she tired? What's she doing here?
Looking for Gus Trudeau.
Where is Gus?
I don't know. I've been asked that twice tonight. This is the third time I don't know.
You probably will.
Why? Why do I have to get into this?
Because you're Gus Trudeau's friend.
Then let's get him another one. I'm tired of the job.
I don't blame you, fella. You'll come out of this with a lot of trouble.
Let's see.
I'll make it simple. If Gus Trudeau shows and you turn him over to Newman, we'll send you up as an accessory to murder. If he shows and you turn him over to us, Newman will probably kill you.
Oh, that's real good. In the meantime, what do you guys do for a living?
We're busy. We couldn't prove Newman killed you. It's after 2. Get back to that club.
And leave you here?
I got work to do.
Like what?
This woman. I'll see if I can get anything out of her.
Yeah, well, it's been done before, but I'll bet 10-1 in your case.
Go on back. I'll tidy up there.
Good night, cop. Leave the rugs. I left Cade standing in the middle of the room looking down at Madge Trudeau. He didn't watch me leave, but I figured it wouldn't be too long before he turned that gleam back on me. Well, I went back to 417 and ran into our piano man, Augie, outside in the alley trying to steal some clean air.
Happy holidays, Petey. How's Gus?
I didn't see him.
Oh, forget him. I got it all figured out for the two of us, Petey. Today we'll spend our time dodging destiny. We'll hit for some small back room. I'll bring the bottled goods, and we'll live on gin and sauerkraut and make the walls sit up and listen. One horn, one piano. The blues, Petey. We'll write them in the middle of next year.
All right, save it. Will you just set me straight?
Right now, across the river, there's 2 places. The High Life Club or Fat Eddie's.
You sure he's there?
That's what the word is. I'll pass the hat down at the Union Hall for both of you.
Is Gus alone over there?
He is now, but there's going to be a crowd.
What do you mean?
I told you.
Yeah.
When Eddie Newman gets back, I got to tell him.
I knew it was a silly move. Newman had 100 guns on tour for Gus. Cage and the boys from headquarters were standing by for seconds. Helping Gus Trudeau was out of order, but I couldn't get one thing out of my mind. If Gus did kill Courtney, why didn't he pick up some travel money before he did it? I was backward. If you're going to hang up your pants, you take them off first. Well, it was about 3 a.m. when I got down to the river and crossed over to the Kansas side. The High Life Club was smoked up and had a little of everything, except Gus Trudeau. I looked in the kitchen and tried a back room. Then I went to the bar to see if I could drum up some talk. I had one taker, a boy with wavy black hair. He got up from a table of 3 others, walked over and sat down next to me.
Hello. Come in your office?
No, it's the first time.
Welcome. Buy a drink?
No, I'm all set. Try one yourself.
Oh, I think drinking's all right, but I hate people who drink too much, don't you?
You work here?
Well, not regularly. Sometimes I dance when the other act doesn't show up. You here alone? Waiting for someone?
Waiting for a guy named Gus Trudeau.
You one of his friends?
Ahmet. Where is he?
He left a while ago. I'm not sure where he went.
Well, get sure. It's important.
He mentioned someone named Bessie.
All right, hold it.
What do you hear, Kelly?
All right, get away, Newman. Try another stool.
This'll do.
If he asks you to leave, I think you should leave.
Well. Choir boy. That's nice.
Leave him alone.
Who is he?
I never saw him before.
What's he know about Trudeau?
Nothing.
Don't kid me. You're not here to spend the time of day. You're here for Trudeau. You, little friend, where's Gus Trudeau?
I don't have to talk to you. I'm a guest in this place.
You're not anymore. Now climb down and head for that door, both of you.
You can't make us do that. We're not going to leave.
It's a split vote, Buster. I don't like the way he pushes.
That's right. Just walk. I'll bet you look good.
I knew right then. As we walked out, I knew Eddie Newman wasn't going to leave him alone. He was going to pick at him, whether he knew anything about Gus Trudeau or not. It was going to get messy, and the boy with the nice eyes was going to help. Outside, it wasn't snowing anymore, but the ground was covered right down to the river. The moon out, and it looked all right if you like nature. We walked over toward a bunch of trees. Newman's car was parked there, a black touring sedan with a strong-armed guy in the back seat. There was another one sitting on the running board. He had a machine gun across his lap.
This'll do. All right. Now let's hear about Gus Trudeau.
I don't know anything about him. This man and I were just talking.
Go easy, Newman. I never saw him before.
Does he always talk to strangers? I'll bet he does.
None of your business.
Where's Gus Trudeau?
I wouldn't tell you. Suppose I knew, I wouldn't tell you.
Oh, yes, you would.
Keep your hands off of me.
Stop pressing, Newman. You don't care about Trudeau now. You just don't like this guy.
Stay out, Kelly. Come here, you. Stop screeching. I'll break your arm off.
Keep your hands off of me, you big, dirty pig.
You're in trouble, fella. Shut up.
He is a pig. His hands are dirty and his teeth are dirty. No pity, even his clothes are dirty. Oh, that knife.
Now lay there. All right, Dave, move in here. Back away, Kelly. You're up, choir boy.
Please, mister, do something. Don't let a thing like this happen.
It already has, Buster.
All through, Newman.
Come on, Dave. It's getting cold.
Newman climbed into the car and they drove off. I stayed there a minute to look at the guy in the snow. His face was unmarked. I did him a favor. I rolled him over so it showed in the moonlight. I knew his mother'd want him to look good the night Eddie Newman's chopper squad cut him down. Well, the name Bessie had to mean Fat Annie's place up the river on the Kansas side. I made it there and found Bessie. She was back at the piano wandering around somewhere in the middle of the blues. You couldn't miss that voice if she took up yodeling. Bessie Smith.
Hi, Pete.
Hi, Bessie. What do you know?
Round back, Pete. You go up the stairs, the loft. Way up there at the top.
Thanks, Bessie.
Okay, Pete. All right, Eddie.
I felt my way out around back and up a couple of flights of stairs that didn't creak in time with the music. There was a door at the top. I pushed it open. He was hunched back on a pile of hay in the corner. He sat up and blinked a couple of times. There wasn't much left, just the frame. And rattling around inside, a lot of tired echoes that wouldn't lay down and die. There was an empty gin bottle on the floor.
Petey, I knew you'd get here.
Yeah, well, they didn't make it easy.
You're looking good, Petey. Everything's 6 to an even, huh?
You forget easy, Gus. You're in a jam. You broke jail.
Yeah, I told him all about you up there, Petey. I told him there's another Gus Trudeau blowing down in Kansas City. I'm proud of you, Pete.
Yeah, sure, Gus.
You're just like me, Pete. I told him all about you. You're the only good thing I ever done. I knew you'd come through. Car and some money, Pete. It'll do everything. It'll make it all new. Is it too much to ask? You tell me, Pete.
They want you for Dutch Courtney.
You know better, Pete. I didn't kill Dutch.
Well, you had a reason.
Did I? I forget.
He hung a frame on you, Gus. 5 years' worth, remember?
I didn't kill Dutch. Get me a drink, boy.
No, not tonight.
Don't preach at me. Just something to help me over.
Oh, yeah, now come in out of the fog, Gus. You're going to get a drink or a train ticket for me. Take your pick, because it's the last time around.
Just listen to that. Bessie's still going strong, ain't she?
Yeah, and so are the cops. I got one idea for you, Gus. Get moving.
You remember Chicago, Petey? You and Madge. Chicago always liked me.
You checked out, Gus. Biderbeck's got your chair.
They'll remember me and you, Petey. I found you when you were nothing.
What are you going to do? Where are you going?
I got it all set up. It's big and brand new. A place in Mexico.
Yeah?
The guy who bunked in my cell with me, his mother runs a place down there. It'll be just like it used to be.
You won't get there on a gin bottle.
I got it set up, boy. A car and some money. It's not much to ask. You haven't got a drink, have you?
You can drink in Mexico. Where you dreaming up the car and the dough?
It's fixed, boy. You just see this guy and tell him I'm ready. Abe Gaffney. He's got a place on Pershing Road. You know it?
Yeah, I know it. Abe's doing all this?
Just tell him I'm ready. How's Madge?
She's all right.
Come and see me, huh? It's hot down in Mexico.
Gets hot here.
What's the matter, Pete? You ain't sore, are you?
No, I ain't sore. I'm just tired. I'll tell Gaffney, and then I'm checking out. Goodbye, Gus.
You're not getting too big for your old friends, are you, boy?
Friends are like everything else, Gus.
Yeah?
They wear out on you. Wasn't any different than a dozen times before. I knew there wasn't very much left, but I wasn't looking for a second-rate ghost with an empty gin bottle. Well, I crossed the river to the Missouri side, headed down Main Street, and then I swung over toward Abe Gaffney's place on Pershing Road. It was pushing close to 5:30 a.m. The sun wasn't up yet, and the night was too tired to care. I pulled up in front of the Murad sign out in front of Gaffney's. Inside, a counterman with pimples and coffee was leaning on last night's paper. A beaded curtain shut off the hallway that led back to Gaffney's room.
You want something?
Yeah, Gaffney.
Not here.
Where do I find him?
I don't know.
I was supposed to meet him here.
That's so?
Look, this is Gaffney's place. Where is he?
I told you.
Now, listen, Junior. Maybe you think you do a good imitation of Calvin Coolidge, but I want an answer. Where's Gaffney?
What's your name?
Kelly.
You could have saved an argument this way. Through the curtain.
When do you go to bed, Kelly?
Yeah. You still looking, Newman?
Still asking. Where's Guts?
I don't think you'd give me time to answer.
There's a good reason why I let you walk away tonight. I gave you 2 hours all by yourself on the Kansas side. I don't think you threw him away. You got a line on Gus Trudeau, and I want it.
I got nothing for you.
Don't be silly, Pete. The cops get him or I do. He goes either way.
You get no help from me.
I don't want help. I want Gus. Now, come on! Come on! Come on, or I'll make you part of the wallpaper.
You better send for Dave.
I don't need it.
I think you do. Now, don't bother to get up. I'm leaving.
I don't believe it. Wasn't your turn, Kelly.
When I got up off the floor, the room was cold and the lights were out. Newman was gone, but I knew he was still in business. I knew if he didn't find Gus Trudeau this trip, he'd come back for me. Well, I got into Red's car and followed the radiator cap back to 417. I found Offie back at the stand having breakfast.
Did you bring an egg, Peter? Kitchen's closed down.
Newman been back here?
I haven't noticed. You look abused.
Yeah. Did anybody say anything?
Who missed? You heard the news?
What's that?
They found the guy who got Dutch Courtney. A fellow by the name of Doyle, East St. Louis. Cops got the goods on it. Gun, fingerprints, the works.
What was his beef with Dutch?
Doyle owned East St. Louis. Dutch wouldn't believe it.
Leave it to Gus. If there's a hole, he'll fall in it.
Makes it easier, doesn't it? Newman will call his boys off now.
Somebody better tell him in a hurry.
Did you see Gus?
Yeah, I saw him. He's trying to get out of town.
Pete Connie?
That's right.
Dave Gaffney, Pete.
Well, you're a hard man to find.
Newman came in the front door. I went out the back. This won't take long. Car keys and money for Gus.
Oh, you got the wrong guy, Abe. I quit an hour ago.
Fight it out with yourself. Car's out in the alley. Gray Chandler. Tell Gus is low on gas.
No, wait a minute. You can take this stuff to Gus. You know where he is.
No, thanks. You take care of Gus. He's an old friend.
What's the matter with you?
I hardly know him.
The clock over the bar said 6:15. We got back on the stand and started the last set. 80 pounds of stale cigarette smoke was holding up the ceiling, waving down in a dirty blue curtain over the dance floor. Behind the bar, one of the guys was wiping up. Two couples picked their way to the dance floor, pushed each other around a while, and finally gave up. Oh, the whole thing, it was all out of step. Wrinkled stockings, brown gardenias, torn paper hats, and Gus Trudeau. He walked in the door and stood off to one side, just back of the stand.
Hey, Pete. Gus got here. He's safe now.
Don't make book on it. All right, last one. The blues in B flat. That's it. Same call tonight, 10 o'clock. You can...
Pete! Petey! Over here. I heard you. You sound good, Pete. Just what I told him up there. You're on your way, boy.
All right, now you heard it, Gus. Here's the money. And the car keys. I'll see you, Gus.
You know what I told him? Another Gus Trudeau's blown down to Kansas City.
Yeah.
All right, boy. I believe it.
Happy New Year, Gus.
Hi, Madge.
Hold it there, Pete. It's a family fight. Stay out.
I thought I took that gun away from you.
What's the matter, Madge? What are you doing?
Don't tell me that talk, Gus. Dutch can't hear you.
What do you mean, Madge?
You killed him. You blew your top and killed him just like you did everything else for me. You and that gin and that cheap brass horn of yours. You sped us all, Pete and me. You ran through the whole bunch till you got to Dutch.
Pete, I didn't do anything.
You killed Dutch Courtney. I loved him. I loved him enough to square it.
You got it wrong, Madge.
Goodbye, Gus. I'll tell him to throw your horn in after you.
Read the paper, Madge. You killed the wrong brother.
Stay away, Pete.
It's in the paper, Madge. A guy by the name of Doyle. He killed Dutch.
They're not sure. Are they?
They're sure.
What'll I do?
I got two things for you, Madge. And the car keys. Now, you see what you can do with 10 minutes start.
You didn't have anything more for Gus, did you, Pete?
No, I guess not.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. Gus finally got out of town.
Pete Kelly's Blues, starring Jack Webb, with story by Jim Moser, music by Dick Cathcart, scoring by Matty Matlock.
Pete Kelly's Blues is based on characters created by Richard L. Breen.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, first with premium quality and best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A young girl has been shot with a .22 caliber rifle. It was reported as suicide. Your job, investigate. Here is Chesterfield's record with smokers, and important to you.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report of a doctor who has been examining a group of Chesterfield smokers for a full year and 2 months as a part of a program supervised by a responsible independent research laboratory. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this? Chesterfield. First with premium quality. Chesterfield. First choice of young America. And that's from a survey made in 274 colleges and universities. Try Chesterfields today. Chesterfield, regular or king size. They're much milder and best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, June 8th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. I was on my way into the office, and it was 8:03 a.m. when I checked into room 42. Homicide.
Joe?
Yeah?
Back here in the skipper's office. Ray Geesey wants to talk to you.
All right.
Morning, Joe.
Hi, Ray. What do you got?
Suicide.
Anything on it?
Here's the report. Team from the business office went out last night. Get on it right away, will you?
Right. Let's go. Huh?
Yeah.
Want to check this stuff before we get started?
Might as well give us an idea what we got to do. What's the report say there you got?
Let's see. According to this, business office got a call at 2:30 this morning. A landlady out in the Westlake Park district called in and said that this young girl had committed suicide.
They get an ID on her?
No, they got her listed as Jane Doe, number 17. There's a description here.
Better check it with missing persons, huh?
Uh-huh.
How'd the landlady happen to find the body?
Well, according to the report, she heard the water running in the apartment, finally went up to see what it was. She knocked on the door, nobody answered. She opened it and went in, found the body.
Well, the girl didn't live in the apartment then?
No, place is rented to a Ross Mitchell.
Anything on him?
No, says he wasn't home. He was checked through R&I, no make on him.
How about prints on the victim?
No go. Checked them out. Nothing on her here. We could send them on to Washington.
Yeah.
And they found a suicide note. There's a copy of it here.
What's it say?
Ross, I've tried to make you understand. Nothing seems to do any good. I've told you that I won't stand in the way of your career, but you don't want to try to make a go of it. I know this doesn't solve anything. It's the only way I can think of.
Any signature?
No. The report says that the original copy's over at the crime lab for processing.
Well, I guess we better start with the landlady, huh?
It's the best lead we got. Galindo and Bates are out there now. Place was staked right away.
Friday, you want to talk too?
Right, thanks, Ray. It's Friday talking. Yeah. Uh-huh. No, we just got it. Is that right? Okay, Max. No, have him wait there, will you? No, we'll be right over. All right, thank you. Well, it's a little break. Max over at the coroner's office says they know who the girl is.
Yeah?
Her father just identified the body. "8:14 a.m. We left the city hall and we went over to the Hall of Justice. We met the victim's father, a Mr. Robert Andrews Paul. He told us that there could be no mistake. The body was that of his daughter, Gloria Z. Paul. The attendant had given him some smelling salts, and after introducing us, He'd left to close off the viewing room.
I don't understand why she'd do it. None of it makes sense.
When did you see your daughter last, Mr. Paul?
Saturday afternoon. That was the last time. I never saw her again.
She was gone Saturday night and all day yesterday, is that it?
Yeah.
You hear from her at all?
No.
Weren't you worried about her at all?
No, sometimes she doesn't come home, stays with a girlfriend, but when I didn't hear from her last night, I got worried, started calling around.
Did she say where she was going when she left?
Told me she was going over to see Peggy. Said the two of them were going to a show and that she'd be home for dinner, sure.
Well, who is this Peggy?
Peggy Rockwell, a friend of Gloria's.
Uh-huh. Have you talked to her?
What?
I say, have you talked to this Peggy since your daughter disappeared?
Yes, I called her last night. I talked to her then. I was most out of my mind. I didn't know what to do. I talked to her last night. She didn't know.
Did your daughter know anybody named Ross Mitchell?
Ross Mitchell? No, I don't think I've ever heard the name. Why do you ask that?
Oh, just wondered.
You know something about this you're not telling me, is that it?
No, sir, we don't.
Well, it must be something like that. You don't just come up with a name like that out of thin air. You got to have a reason. Now, look, I'm her father. I got a right to know. All night sitting there waiting for the phone to ring, calling her friends, thinking she's been in an accident, imagining all kinds of things. If you know something, you should tell me. I've got to know. How am I going to tell her mother? Poor woman's almost dead with worry. She doesn't know about this. All she knows is that the baby's gone, that's all. The baby's gone. Gloria is dead. I don't know what to do.
All right, Mr. Paul, try to take it easy.
I'm sorry if you got a cigarette.
Yes, sir. Here. Here, I'll give you a light.
Sorry about that.
It's all right, sir. We understand. Now, do you think you can give us an address where we can talk to this Peggy Rockwell?
Yes, she works at a restaurant over on 7th. I've got a home address, too, if you want it.
Yes, sir. We hope you'll understand this, Mr. Paul. We don't mean any offense here.
What's that?
Did your daughter have any steady boyfriends that you know about?
No, I don't think so. No one that she went with steady.
No one man she liked more than the others?
I think there was. I don't know who. Her mother asked her about it a couple of times, wanted to know who the fellow was, but Gloria'd never say. Just said that it wasn't serious, it didn't matter.
I'd seem to get along with this man, would you know?
All right, I guess. I told you I never saw him. I didn't know who he was. But whenever Gloria had a date with him, she acted like it was something special.
Did your daughter have a job?
Not regular. She used to model once in a while, and then maybe she'd pick up a day's work in pictures, not much.
Mm-hmm. Can you think of any reason why she'd want to take her own life?
No. She seemed pretty happy, never gave any indication there was anything wrong.
Has she been ill lately under a doctor's care?
No, not that I know about.
Well, Mr. Paul, is it possible she might have been seeing a doctor and you wouldn't know about it?
No, her mother would have known. She'd have told me. Now, I'm pretty sure she was feeling all right.
Anything about her job that bothered her?
What do you mean?
Well, was she happy with what she was doing, the kind of work she was doing?
Oh, yeah. Gloria didn't want a career. She was looking for a husband, one to settle down and raise a family.
Mm-hmm. Well, can you think of anything at all that might make her want to take her own life, as I asked you before?
I can't understand it. None of it makes any sense to me. Where she was found, she didn't know anybody in that part of town. I don't know what she'd be doing over there.
Did she drink?
I don't think I understand.
Well, did she drink much, sir? Bars, cocktail lounges?
No, she didn't. Now, Gloria was a good girl. She didn't drink or smoke. She was a good girl, and I don't understand all this. First this thing with Ross, and now you want to know if she drinks. I don't know what you're trying to get at, but I don't like it. You're trying to make Gloria something that she isn't. She's a good girl, always has been. Just a home and family, that's all she wanted, nothing more. I don't know why you're asking me all these questions. I'm her father. You're the police. It's up to you to find the reason. That's your job. Not to come around and say things about my girl.
I'm sorry. We're not saying anything, Mr. Paul.
You are, too. You're trying to make me believe that Gloria wasn't a nice girl. Now, I know different. I raised her since she was a baby, gave her all the care I could. I don't know why she'd do a thing like this.
You don't?
No. Why ask me these questions?
Well, sir, you said it yourself.
Huh?
You're her father. We continued to talk to the father of the victim. From him, we got a list of the girl's friends, the address, and the names of the people that she worked for. While we were talking to him, he was unable to give us any idea as to why his daughter, Gloria Paul, might want to take her own life. He insisted that he didn't know anybody or any one of his daughter's acquaintances named Ross Mitchell. A telephone call was put through to his wife, but she was unable to tell us who the man was. 8:20 a.m. Mr. Paul recovered from the initial shock, and he went home. 8:39 a.m. We drove over to the rooming house where Gloria Paul had been found. On the way, we stopped to call the crime lab to see if they'd been able to come up with anything in the dead girl's effects to help us. Lieutenant Lee Jones at the lab told us that they hadn't finished their investigation yet. 8:50 a.m. We arrived at the house and talked with the landlady, Thelma Keene.
It's terrible. Poor little thing.
You haven't seen Ross Mitchell yet, is that?
No, he hasn't come in. I told the officers last night that I didn't expect him until noon today.
Have you seen the girl before?
Once in a while, she'd come in with Ross, wait for him, and then they'd go right out.
Did you see her last night, sir?
I told the officers that were here last night that I didn't. Didn't you talk to them at all?
Well, yes, ma'am. We have the report they filed, Mrs. Keene, but we'd like to get some additional facts from you.
It seems like a waste of time, but I suppose you have to.
Yes, ma'am. Do you have any idea when she might have come in?
No, not the slightest.
When was the last time you saw Mitchell?
Saturday around noon. He came in and told me that he'd be out of town over the weekend. Said to me to keep an eye on the place.
Yes, ma'am. Did he tell you where he was going?
He said he was going to visit an assistant director friend of his over in La Cañada.
Did you say what the friend's name was?
No, they're working on a picture together. Ross just met him the other day. Asked him out for the weekend. Ross was very good at making friends.
Mm-hmm. Do you know where he's working?
No. Ross just said it was a sea adventure. Doing it in full color. 3D, too. I guess it's going to be quite a spectacle. They didn't have all the gimmicks in my day.
Ma'am?
Didn't have 3D or the other things. In my day, we acted. We knew how to act. From the heart. These youngsters are good flack. Can make a star out of anybody. Oh, things have changed. And here, this one. That's me with the pith helmet. This was made over on Catalina Island. We were shooting a jungle picture. We acted. No doubles for us. Real actors.
When was this, ma'am?
A few years ago. Now, why are you asking all these questions about Ross?
Well, the note the girl left was addressed to him.
That doesn't mean anything. Just some lovesick girl. Doesn't mean Ross had anything to do with it.
How'd you happen to find the body?
I went to bed about 10:30. They were running one of my old movies on TV, and I stayed up to see it. You happened to catch it? The thing called The Floods Will Come. I made it over at Catalina. It starred Nick Benton, real movie idol. Here's one of the stills from the picture.
Yes, ma'am.
Here's the whole company. That's me. And that's Nick with the puttees. He'd put on a little weight. I remember he had to do road work while we were there to trim down. Held the company up for a week. A grand picture. They didn't do it right on television, though. Looked a little corny. I guess the way they ran it through the machines. You know, we all looked pasty. Even Nick.
Yes, ma'am. Would you go on, please?
Well, after I saw the rest of the picture, I went up to the kitchen, got a bowl of shredded wheat to eat in bed, came back to the bedroom, and I heard this noise.
What noise was that, ma'am?
Like somebody was running water in one of the taps. Went on and on. Pretty soon it started to bother me. I couldn't understand it.
Uh-huh.
Finally, I went up to see who it was. Noise came from Ross's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I knocked, but there wasn't any answer, so I unlocked the door and went in. I thought something was wrong. That's when I saw her.
I see.
She was lying on bed. Right away, I called the police.
Before you went up, did you hear any other noises? Any sound of a struggle, anything like that, maybe?
No, just the water running.
Well, how about the shot, ma'am? You hear that?
No, I didn't. A lot of shooting in the picture I was watching.
Did you touch anything in the room?
No, I turned the lights, but that's all. The room was dark when I went in. Just turned on the lights, and then I called you.
According to our report, there wasn't any purse found with the body. Did you see one when you went in there?
I didn't. But if I had, you'd gotten it. What are you trying to say? That I stole her purse? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, ma'am, that's not what we're trying to say.
Better not. I've got a reputation in this town. I know a lot of big people. I'm not going to have you come in here and call me a thief.
Well, we didn't mean to offend you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Who has a key to Mitchell's place besides him, ma'am?
No one. He's got the only one. I don't like a lot of keys to the rooms out. I tell all the tenants that.
Have you got any idea how the girl might have gotten into the room?
No.
Do you know who the gun belonged to?
Yes, it was Ross's.
You pretty sure about that, are you?
Yes, I saw it when he moved in. Commented on it then. He said that he'd had it since he was a kid. Kept it out of sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
What's this all about, anyway? You seem to think that there's something wrong. Is that it?
No, ma'am. It's just that in things like this, we have to make a complete investigation. You can understand.
Oh, well, I want to do all I can to help you, but I do have an appointment. If there's nothing more you want, I'd like to be going.
That's all right, Miss Keene. If we want to talk to you, we'll be able to reach you here?
Yes, right here.
We'll give you a call to tell you about the inquest.
Am I going to have to be there?
Yes, ma'am. You and Mitchell.
Why him?
Well, it was his apartment, ma'am.
But he didn't have anything to do with it.
Well, maybe so, ma'am, but he'll still have to be there.
It's not fair. A thing like this can ruin him. By the time the papers get through with it, he'll be finished. It can ruin his career. He doesn't know anything about it. He won't be able to tell you anything.
Well, you're wrong there, ma'am.
Huh?
He's got a lot to explain. We went upstairs and met the officer staked out in the room and looked at the apartment where the girl had been found. 9:20 a.m. We gave our card to Thelma Keene and asked her to call us if she thought of anything else. We also asked her to notify us immediately in the event she heard from Mitchell. The stakeout on the room continued. 9:52 a.m. We drove over to the coffee shop on West 7th Street to talk to the girl's friend, Peggy Rockwell. We found her in the back of the place typing out the day's menus.
What about Gloria? Something wrong?
When was the last time you saw her, miss?
Well, let's see. Saturday night, she stayed at my house. Left about noon on Sunday. I had the day off. Figured that maybe we'd do something, but Gloria said she had something to do. Last I saw her was on Sunday morning.
You know a man named Ross Mitchell?
That bum.
Why do you say that, Miss Rockwell?
Because he is. Real no good.
You pretty friendly with Miss Paul?
Well, Gloria thought so. Turned out he was just using her.
Well, how do you mean?
Thought at first she could get him some jobs. Turned out when he could do better, he dropped her. They were going to get married, and then he thought he could do better, so he dropped her.
Mm-hmm.
Say, do you mind if I go ahead with these menus? The boss will be sore if I don't get through with them.
No, you go right ahead, miss.
We can talk while I'm doing it.
Yes, ma'am.
I took a course once, touch typing. Didn't think I'd ever use it. Boy, was I fooled.
You go right ahead, miss.
Well, this Ross really gave her the rush. Had her take him around, introduce him to her friends. She got him a couple of jobs. She's the one who introduced him to Mike.
Mike?
Yeah, Mike Cowell. That's Ross's agent. Peggy set it up. She's done just about everything for him. Then the bum acts like this.
What do you mean, miss?
Treated her so bad. Say, how do you spell croquettes?
Well, I think it's Croquettes.
O-Q-E-T-T-E-S. Turkey. They had roast turkey last night. I don't understand how people can eat them, but we sure sell a lot of them.
Did Miss Paul say she was going to see Ross over the weekend?
Yeah. She said she had an appointment with him Sunday. Said she'd called him and set it up.
You know what time?
No, just said she wasn't going on like this. Had to be straightened out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame her. She's told her friends they were going to get married, and at the last minute, Ross would back out.
Her family know about Ross?
No. Father didn't mind her doing a little work in show business, but he didn't want her to marry anyone in it. She thought that if they just got married, then the family'd understand.
Joe?
Yeah.
I'll call the crime lab, see if they've finished.
Yeah, fine, thanks. How'd Miss Paul and Mitchell seem to get along, ma'am?
What do you mean?
Well, did they have any arguments or disagreements, would you know?
Not often. Most of the trouble they had was about getting married. Ross kept saying that it wouldn't do him any good to be married now. He thought that it might hurt his career. That's all he thought about.
Were you ever present at any of these arguments?
Once. We'd gone out on a double date, went to a place down at the beach, had dinner, and then stopped on the way back for a couple of drinks.
Uh-huh.
Ross got pretty drunk, got into a big thing about his career.
Yeah.
He went on and on about how hard he'd work, how much the theater meant to him, all that kind of stuff.
I see.
Finally, he said right out that he'd kill anyone who tried to stop him, just like that. He'd kill anyone who tried to stop him.
Joe?
Yeah.
See you a minute.
Would you excuse me, please?
Sure. Just a minute. Yeah. Is there one L or two L's in broccoli?
Just one, ma'am.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Just talked to Lee Jones.
Yeah, did he finish up?
Yeah, something's wrong.
What's that?
He thinks the girl was murdered.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Years ahead of them all. Chesterfield is years ahead of all cigarettes.
Chesterfield quality is highest. Here's the proof.
Recent chemical analyses give an index of good quality for the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. The index of good quality table, which is a ratio of high sugar to low nicotine, shows Chesterfield quality highest.
Chesterfield quality highest.
15% higher than its nearest competitor.
Chesterfield quality highest.
31% higher than the average of the 5 other leading brands. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this?
Chesterfield. First with premium quality and best for you.
Try Chesterfield today. Regular or king size.
10:37 a.m. We drove to the crime lab and talked with Sergeant J. Allen. He told us that when they checked for powder burns on the body, they hadn't found any. They measured the reach of the dead girl and found that it would have been almost impossible for her to have pulled the trigger on the rifle, leaving the fingerprints they found on the gun. Blotter test failed to show any traces of nitrate powder on her hands. They checked the handwriting on the suicide note found in the room against samples of Gloria Paul's writing and found that they didn't match. From their findings, they said that it was their opinion that the girl had not killed herself, that she'd been murdered. We went back to the city hall and got out a local and an APB on Ross Mitchell. We called the landlady of his rooming house. She hadn't heard from him. 12:30 p.m., we went back to the rooming house and relieved the stakeout. We asked the landlady not to say anything to Mitchell about our being there. 12:45 p.m., still no sign of the suspect. 1 o'clock. 1:30.
Who are you? What are you doing in my place?
Come on in.
Who are you?
Police officers. Come on in. Close that door. Put that suitcase down.
What's this all about, anyway? What have you guys been doing here? The place is
You
all
Ross
torn up.
Mitchell?
Yeah, why?
You know a girl named Gloria Paul?
What's she got to do with it?
You know her?
Yeah, I know her.
When's the last time you saw her?
Say, what's this all about? What's all these questions?
When was the last time you saw Gloria Paul?
Friday night, I guess.
Don't you know for sure?
All right, Friday night.
You haven't seen her since?
I told you, the last time was Friday
You
night.
didn't see her Sunday?
No.
Where were you Saturday and Sunday?
Out of town.
Where?
La
Can
Cañada.
you prove you were there?
Why?
Can you prove you were there?
I don't like all this. You guys coming in here asking a lot of questions. What are you trying to prove?
Who are you staying with?
A friend of mine.
What's his name?
I'm not going to have him dragged into this.
You haven't got any choice.
That's what you say. You haven't told me what this is all about. I'm not telling you anything till you tell me.
Now, you look, Mitchell, understand this. We're not here to pass the time of day. You better come up with some answers quick. Now, who are you with?
Friend of mine, guy named Sid Austin.
What's his phone number?
You going to call him?
We got to check your alibi.
Oh, what's his number?
Won't do any good to call him.
Thought you said you were there.
I was.
Then we got to call him.
Well, he won't be able to tell you anything. He wasn't there. He just let me use his place. There wasn't anybody there.
Who's got a key to this place besides you?
You mean here?
That's right.
Nobody.
You got the only key, huh?
That's right. The landlady's got one, just the two of them.
You got any idea how somebody else could get in here?
No. Why?
How well do you know Gloria Paul?
What's she got to do with it?
How well do you know her?
We used to go together.
Anything serious between you?
She thought we might get married.
How'd you feel about it?
I don't think that's any of your business.
Maybe it is. How'd you feel about it?
I liked her. She was a nice kid.
Nothing more?
No. Now, you look. I think it's about time you told me what this is all about. Something to do with Gloria. Is that it?
That's right.
What?
She's dead.
Oh. Oh. May I please have a cigarette?
Yeah. Here. Here's a match.
Thanks. How'd it happen?
Thought maybe you could tell us.
Why'd you figure that?
Where'd you see her last?
Up here.
This room?
Yeah.
When was that?
I told you, Friday night.
You have any trouble with her?
No.
No argument?
I told you no. Well, how'd it happen? Can't you tell me?
You own a .22 rifle?
Yeah.
You got bullets for it?
Yeah, why?
Where do you keep it?
Closet over there.
You keep it loaded?
No, the bullets are on the shelf in the closet.
All right, come on, Ross. We better go downtown.
What
I
for?
want to talk to you.
What for? You got to tell me before I have to go. You got to tell me what you're holding me for.
Suspicion of murder. Now, come on.
Where are you taking him?
Downtown.
Why?
We want to talk to him.
You didn't have anything to do with it, did you, Ross?
I don't even know what this is all about. All I know is that Gloria's dead.
She killed herself in your room.
What?
In your room, Ross. It was suicide.
Well, they're arresting me for murder.
Oh, you can't do that. Ross didn't have anything to do with it. It was suicide. That's what you said.
All right, come on, Mitchell.
Well, you can't do that. It was suicide.
You want to take him out the car, Frank?
Yeah.
You can see that you're making a mistake. He didn't have anything to do with it. He's going to have enough trouble with that girl killing herself in his apartment. You can't arrest him for murder. It was suicide.
What are you trying to tell us, lady?
What?
Something you want to say here?
No, you're making things up.
All right, let's go.
Yes. Let's go ahead. Take him. Go ahead. He wants to be a star. Let him. Go ahead and take him and serve him right. The way he treats people. I tried to help him. God knows I tried. Got him to meet a lot of important people, a lot of contacts. You think he was interested? You bet he was. How does he show it? I'll tell you how. He thanks me for all I've done for him by running around, chasing after that young nobody, that Gloria. I tried to reason with her, tried to talk some sense into her. Told her that she couldn't do anything for him. Told her that I could make him a star, bigger than anybody. She said she loved him. She doesn't know how to love.
You want to go ahead?
Came over here all the time, begging Ross to marry her. I told her to get out of his life and stay out, to leave him alone. He didn't need her.
When was all this?
Sunday evening, she came here all dressed up. Oh, when they're young, they know everything. I'm one of the biggest stars this town ever had. She's a nobody. I know what's good for that boy.
Didn't you tell us you didn't see the girl Sunday, isn't that right?
That's what I said.
Did you see her Sunday?
Yes, I did. She wanted me to let her into Ross's apartment. I told her he wasn't there. She said it didn't make any difference. She'd wait for him.
Well?
I told her to leave him alone. She didn't understand him, didn't know how to take care of him. I know the right people. He could have written his own ticket in this town. He could have been big. You don't want him. I killed him.
All right. Do you want to get a coat, ma'am?
Yes. Doesn't make any difference. I did it to help him. I thought you'd think it was suicide. I didn't think you'd figure anything else.
You wrote the note, did you?
I did. That's what you've got to understand. For him. That was all that counted. He'd married her and he'd been through. I had to stop it. I didn't want to kill her. But you can see I couldn't let him marry her. Ross is a fine actor. Real talent. He doesn't come along often.
All right, lady. Let's go.
He'll understand, won't he? He'll know why I did it. He'll understand.
I wouldn't know, ma'am.
Well?
We'll let you ask him.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 14th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, Dragnet Radio is taking a summer vacation. We'll be back in the fall. George Fenneman will tell you all about that in a minute. Meanwhile, I hope you'll watch our TV show regularly, and I also hope that all of you who are not Chesterfield smokers will try them. I like to feel that when we resume broadcasting in the fall, every one of you will have switched to Chesterfield. You'll find their best for you. And, of course, when you go on that vacation this summer, be sure to take along a couple of cartons, will you? Chesterfield. And we all hope you have a very pleasant summer.
Thelma Alice Keene was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. She was sentenced to life imprisonment in the California Institute for Women, Corona, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Virginia Gregg, Vic Perrin. Script by John Robinson, Ben Alexander. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show, Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfields, either regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
By special request, Dragnet is being sent to our servicemen and women all over the world. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Dragnet leaves radio for the rest of the summer. We'll be back early in September. Watch then for our return. Check the radio listings of your newspaper for the day and time. Please note, however, that if Dragnet is seen on television in your community, it will continue throughout the summer.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett and Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.
Sound off for Chesterfield.
Low in nicotine. Highest in quality. Best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. For the past 3 weeks, a lone thief has been victimizing stores and check-cashing agencies. You've got a description of the man, but so far you've failed to identify him. Your job? Get him. Before you buy your next pack of cigarettes, think this over. A doctor has been examining a group of Chesterfield smokers with special attention to the nose, throat, and sinuses. His latest report, after a full year and a half, says no adverse effects from smoking Chesterfield. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this? Chesterfield, regular or king size, they're low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Friday, June 10th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Chief of Detectives Thad Brown. My name's Friday. We'd gotten a call that there'd been a holdup, and it was 10:36 a.m. when we got to the corner of Alvarado and Catalina Streets, the Harrison Check Cashing Agency.
I'm sorry, you'll have to come back. We've had some trouble and we're not open for business. Come back in about an hour.
Police officer, sir.
Oh, well, where have you been? I was held up, you know. Held right up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fellows in the police car was here. They told me that you'd come out. Well, where have you been? It's taken you long enough. Didn't you use the siren?
Yes, sir. We came out as soon as we got the call.
Just seems us taxpayers would get better service than that.
Well, sir, the call just came in 4 minutes ago.
Oh. Well, all right then. Well, now let me tell you all about it.
Yes, sir, if you would, please.
Oh, you just bet I would. Well, now, first off, I had trouble sleeping last night. I knew right off it was going to be a bad day. I can always tell, you know, when I've had a bad night, the next day's always a doozy.
Did you give the officers in the radio car description of the man?
Yes, sir, I sure did. I gave it to them right off. Now, you going to let me tell you all about the holdup?
Yes, sir, if you go ahead, please.
Well, I had a bad night. Real bad. I knew... Say, my name's Harrison. Abel Harrison. I don't think that's your fellow's name.
Oh, this is my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Oh,
how do you do?
Glad to know you, yeah. Darn fool next door kept pounding the typewriter all night. He never let up.
Sir?
The man next door, that's why I didn't get any sleep. Some crackpot trying to be a writer. Oh, it's an awful thing. All night long. Dit, 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 ding, dit, dit, ding. All night. Not a wink of sleep.
Yes, sir. If you just tell us about the robbery, please.
You ain't interested, huh?
Well, no, sir, it isn't that. It's just that the more time we lose here, the harder it's going to be to apprehend the suspect. You can understand that.
Oh, well, yeah.
Now, maybe if you just answer some questions for us, it might be easier and possibly a little faster. Huh?
Okay. Fire away.
What time did the man come in?
About 10:12.
Was he alone?
Yep.
Did it look like there might have been anybody else with him?
Nope.
Do you know if he drove an automobile?
Couldn't tell.
I see. Well, would you tell us exactly what he said and what he did from the time that you first saw him?
Came in, 10:12, had a gun, walked over to me, pointed the gun, told me to stick up. That the way you fellows want it?
Well, you just relax, Harrison, will you, and tell the story in your own words.
I'm trying to do just that.
Yes, sir.
Maybe if I went slower, it'll be easier for you boys.
All right, sir, you go right ahead.
Well, he came in, stood around for a minute, then come over to the counter. I asked him if I could help him.
Uh-huh.
We cash checks, you know, payroll checks. First off, I thought that's what he wanted, to cash a check. Wasn't, though. I asked him what he wanted, and he pulled out the gun. Told me to keep quiet and hand him the money. Pointed the gun right at my heart, right here. My heart. Are you with me so far, boys?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
So I gave him the money, all there was in the drawer.
I see, sir. But how much was taken, Mr. Harrison?
About $1,500. He just took the paper money. He didn't want the silver. Had 2 paper bags. Looked like he carried his lunch in them. All kind of wrinkles, you know.
Yes, sir.
Had me put the money in them. Then he told me to lay down on the floor, lay there and count to 100 by ones. Told me not to move until I'd finished. He said if I did, he'd come back and kill me. The way he told me, you knew he meant it. After that, he left.
All right, sir. What if you can give us a description of the man?
Sure, but already gave one to the other cops. Ain't that enough?
We'd like to have you tell us, if you would, Mr. Harrison.
Oh, them other fellows don't work with you, huh?
Well, yes, sir, they do, but we'd just like you to describe the man to us.
Well, what's the matter? Won't they tell you?
Well, yes, Mr. Harrison, they'll tell us, but the questions they ask you are for getting out a broadcast. We have to fill out a report and try to get the man who did this.
Oh. Seems like a pretty funny way to operate. Don't tell the other cops what's going on.
How tall was the man, Harrison?
Well, let's see. I'd say about 5 feet, maybe 8 to 10 inches.
Mm-hmm. How much did he weigh, would you know?
I'm just guessing, you nosy. I'm not sure.
Yes, sir, we understand.
Well, I'd say he weighed maybe, 150, right around in there.
How old was he, would you know?
Maybe 25, 26.
How about his coloring? Was he dark or light complected?
No, dark. He had black hair, brown eyes, mean-looking eyes, like steel balls. Kind you pick up with vacuum cleaners. Steel, hard.
Yes, sir. How was he dressed?
Had a pair of Levi's on. Levi's and a blue shirt. He had a brown leather jacket on, too, one with a fur collar.
Was he clean-shaven?
Oh, yes. His face looked like he just had a shave. And a talcum powder on it.
Do you wear glasses, sir?
Yeah.
What kind were they?
I couldn't tell you, just glasses.
Well, did they have metal or plastic frames?
Oh, plastic, yes. Light, kind of tan plastic. Heavy. The kind that don't have the little curly things around the ears. Just big pieces that went over the top.
Mm-hmm. Did the man touch anything with his hands?
No, he didn't. The other officers asked me that, too. He didn't touch a thing.
Was anybody else present at the time?
No one else. I was the only one here.
Well, did the man have any marks or scars that you noticed?
No, leastways not that I saw.
Was there anything unusual about him? Anything that might help us identify him?
Well, that mustache should help.
Sir?
His mustache. I think it was phonier than a $3 bill. Looked like it to me.
Well, I thought you said the man was clean-shaven.
I did. All around the mustache. I didn't think he meant like that. He's probably clean-shaven under that, too. Sure looked phony to me.
Why do you say that?
It was red. He was dark. Had black hair, black eyebrows. It seemed like he'd come up with a red mustache. Seemed like it to you?
It's hard to say, sir.
Don't seem like it to me, not at all. I tell you something else.
What's that, sir?
I think them glasses was fake, too. Glass in them was funny, like it hadn't been ground, kind of flat. I think they was phony, just like the duster.
Duster?
Mustache. Red mustache with black hair. Phony.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. And we'd like you to come down to the office and look at some other pictures, if you would, see if you can identify the man.
Be glad to. I'll not do it today, though.
Why is that, sir?
Well, I already told you had a picture of him down there. I'd probably miss him. It's been a real bad day for me. Well, tomorrow will be better, though.
Why is that, sir?
Gonna get some sleep tonight.
That's all?
Bribed the landlady.
Yeah?
She let me in his room. I took it.
What's that, sir?
Ain't gonna do much typing without his ribbon, is he?
For the past 3 weeks, we'd heard the same story. A man had entered a check-cashing agency or a small neighborhood store and at gunpoint taken all the currency. Each time, he'd hit just after the owner or the manager had come back from the bank. The descriptions we'd gotten in each theft was the same. Each of the victims looked over the mug books, but they were unable to identify the suspect. The stats office had made an M.O. run going back 10 years. The leads they turned up were run down, but they led us nowhere. Communications to George Brereton up at CII in Sacramento had turned up no new information. We were right where we were after the first robbery. We had a suspect we couldn't identify, a suspect that we couldn't find. 10:45 a.m., the latest victim closed up his place of business and started to accompany us downtown. As we walked out of the store, a police car pulled up to the curb. In the back seat was a man of about 25 years of age. The officer told us that they'd caught the man running down an alley 3 blocks away. The man who matched the description of the thief identified himself as Rudy Martin. While the radio car officer stood by, we took the suspect over to our car to see April Harrison, the victim.
Caught him already, huh?
Is this the man who held you up, sir?
Let me get out and take a good look.
All right.
Tell him to turn sideways, north and south.
All right, sir.
No, I'll turn sideways. That's him.
Are you sure?
That's the man, even without his mustache and glasses, I can tell.
He's lying. He don't know what he's saying.
Don't you talk that way to me, young fella. And where's my money, huh? What'd you do with my money?
I haven't got it. I never took any money from you or anybody else. You're crazy.
I'll teach you to talk to me like
Harrison,
that.
never mind. Now, if we need anything more, we'll be back to talk to you.
You mean you ain't going to take me downtown now that you caught the fella?
No, sir, we'll get in touch with you later.
You make him tell you where he hid the money. $1,500, all in paper. You make him tell you.
All right, sir, we'll do that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, I'll be right here. Anything you want me to do, just give a holler. I want to see this fella get what's coming to him.
Yes, sir. Here's our card, and you call us if you need to.
Yeah, you do that. And make him tell you what he done with the money.
Well, you want to get back, Martin? I'll check with the radio card, Joe. You want him to follow us to the office? Yeah, tell him we'll take Martin here to the robbery division. We'll check him later. Right. All right, Martin, put your hands up as high as you can.
With handcuffs on?
With them on.
You ain't going to find anything.
All right, get them up.
See, I told you. This is a bad thing that man did. I haven't done anything to him. I didn't take his money.
Settle back, Martin. Back in the seat. You ever seen that man before?
No, I haven't.
Is he mad at you for any reason?
I told you I never saw him before.
Well, he says he knows you. He says you held him up a little while ago.
He's crazy.
Why'd he say something like that without a reason?
I don't know.
Your wallet back here?
Yeah.
All right, slide up a little. Any money in it?
No, all I got some change, maybe 40, 50 cents. Just a few cards there, and a couple of phone numbers, that's all. There's no money.
Mm-hmm. Who's this? This Johnny Salvatore.
He's a friend of mine.
Chris Turan?
Another friend. They haven't done nothing. They're both nice guys. And look, you got no right to do this. You got no right to arrest me.
I just want to talk to you. If you haven't done anything wrong, then you haven't got anything to worry about, have you?
That sounds good, but what am I doing sitting here in his car with you?
All right, now tell us the real story, huh?
I ain't nothing to tell. I was over by Central Avenue when these two cops came by and picked me up. I wasn't doing anything.
Officers say you were running down an alley. They say that you wouldn't stop when they told you to. Now, how about all that?
I was scared. You can see how that had happened, can't you?
What'd you do with the gun?
Wasn't any gun.
The victim says it was.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You registered for the draft, Martin?
Yeah.
Well, where's your draft card?
Isn't it in the wallet?
No, it isn't.
Guess I must have lost it.
You ever been arrested? Did you hear me, Martin? How about it?
Yeah, a couple of times.
What for?
Bag.
Where?
Here, back east.
Where back east?
KC.
You sure that's all?
Yeah.
What were you doing in that alley this morning?
I was on my way to see a guy.
Who?
A friend of mine.
Okay, Joe. Yeah? I'll call in. We can get started. Right. 1K80 to Control 1. 1K80 to Control 1.
Control 1 to 1K80. Go ahead.
Prisoner in custody. Show us out to room 27A, City Hall. KMA 367.
Roger, 1K80. KMA 367.
You all set? Yeah, let's go. Now, who's this friend you're going to see, Martin?
You have to know that?
We have to know.
Chris Tarrant.
What are we going to see him about?
Job. He said he could line one up for him.
Where do you live?
Rooming house down on Wall.
All right, you want to tell us what you do with that money?
What money? I don't know how to tell you any better. I didn't have anything to do with that guy. I don't know nothing about any robbery. I was on my way to see a friend about a job. A couple of cops picked me up. That's all there is to it, nothing more. If you think you can make this thing stick, then you go right ahead. I don't think you can.
Well, we got a lot of time, Martin.
So have I. I got nothing to do. Night's sleep and a couple of meals. That's what I stand to come up with. I got no problems. Go ahead, lock me up. You're going to have to let me go. I don't care what the old guy says. I didn't hold him up. Not him nor anybody else can say I did.
The clothes you got on match the ones the hold-up man wore.
So what? A lot of people wear these kind of clothes.
The victim identified you.
The guy made a mistake. I told you that.
All right, Martin, you called it. I hope you know what you're talking about. The victim of the robbery identified you, and there's 5 more we think we can tie you into. We make you on the rest of them, you got real trouble here. Now, you'll save us and yourself a lot of time if you'll tell us the truth.
You wouldn't know it if you saw it.
Well, there's one way to find out, isn't there?
Yeah?
Try us. 10:52 a.m. We took the suspect back to the city hall and we talked to him for over 3 hours. He refused to admit any knowledge of the holdups. We checked him through R&I and we came up with the arrest record that he told us about. In checking his record, we found that the suspect was wanted for draft evasion. In the meantime, the other victims of the holdup man had been brought down to the office. The suspect was placed in a show-up with several other persons. They all failed to identify Martin as the thief. In checking further with the last victim, Harrison, he stated that he'd probably made a wrong identification. We had a search of Martin's room made, but we were unable to come up with anything. The 2 friends he'd mentioned were checked out, but there was no record on either one of them. The suspect was turned over to the federal authorities for prosecution on the draft evasion charge. We were right back where we started 3 weeks before. The next morning, Saturday, June 11th, we started all over again. This time we went back into the files 15 years. Anybody who even vaguely matched the description was checked out. The M.O. of the thief was rechecked. The machines came up with an additional 17 possibles. Each of these were checked out. It took us 2 weeks, and at the end of that time, we were back where we started again. We had nothing but a description that apparently didn't match anybody in our files, and an M.O. that didn't fit any known criminal. During the time that we'd been checking out leads, the bandit was inactive. Additional cars from Metro Division had been assigned to the detail, and rolling stakeouts were maintained around check-cashing agencies throughout the city. The hold-up man had apparently dropped from sight. Saturday, June 25th. I checked into the office.
Robbery, Smith. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Ben. Huh? Oh, just a minute. Little John. You see him, Joe?
No, I don't think he's here. Little John? No, he's not here.
No, Ben, he isn't here. All right, wait a minute. I'll check the book. Yeah, here. No, I left about an hour ago. Yeah, I'll be back. Want him to call you? Okay, wait a minute.
Here's a pencil.
Uh-huh. 0281? Right, yeah. Okay, Ben.
I got something here. Teletype from San Diego from Hewin and Davis.
Yeah? What is it?
I'll read it to you. R.E. your APB, dated June 10th, R.E. robbery. Robbery occurred this city last night. M.O. and description matches your suspect. We have identification as Jerry Lane, San Diego number 146382. Are sending mug shots.
Huh, looks like a break.
Well, it might have been. You didn't let me finish.
Yeah?
He got away. 12:15 p.m. A special delivery letter arrived from San Diego with the mug shots of Jerry Lane. There was also a note from Sergeant Carl Davis. He explained that the suspect had held up a small liquor store in the city and had badly beaten the owner. A witness was shown the mug books and was able to pick out the bandit. He was identified as a Jerry Lane. He had only one arrest record, and that was for a misdemeanor offense in San Diego County. We checked the name through our identification bureau, but there was no record on him in our files. The mug shots for San Diego had been taken over 4 years previously, but the victims of the robberies in Los Angeles had no trouble identifying it, even without the glasses and the mustache. Additional broadcasts were gotten out carrying the name, and radiograms were sent to Washington and to Sacramento requesting any available information. Another week passed while the search went on. During that time, the hold-up man hit once more, this time in National City, just south of San Diego. From the reports we got, the M.O. matched the one previously used. The suspect made good his escape. Tuesday morning, 11:30 a.m. Frank and I had been out running down a lead. We just got back to the office.
Well, there's another one that didn't go anyplace.
Yeah?
You know, Joe, if somebody could figure out a way to filter out the bad leads, it'd sure save a lot of legwork, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess I get it. Robbery Friday. Yeah, all right. It's Hewin.
Yeah?
Hi, Pappy. Yeah. When was that? Yeah, anything on him? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you're probably right. Well, I guess the only thing we can do is put out another broadcast. Yeah. No, nothing up here. What'd you say? Right, yeah. Well, if anything else turns up, let us know, will you? Right. Oh, wait a minute. Say hello to Carl. All right, Pappy. Yeah, we'll be talking to you. Right. Thanks. Bye.
What's he got?
Well, it's our suspect, Jerry Lane.
Yeah?
He's going to have to stand for more than a 211 charge now.
What do you mean?
Latest victim just died.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
It's so satisfying to know that my Chesterfield is low in nicotine, highest in quality.
Chesterfield, low in nicotine, highest in quality. A fact proved by chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading cigarette brands.
And it's so satisfying to know that a doctor who has been making thorough examinations, especially of the nose, throat, and sinuses, reports no adverse effects from smoking Chesterfields.
His report is a part of a program supervised by a responsible research laboratory and is based on thorough bi-monthly examinations of a group of Chesterfield smokers over a period of a year and a half.
That's 18 full months now. Don't you want to smoke a cigarette with a record like this? Regular or king size.
Chesterfield is low in nicotine, highest in quality. Best for me, best for you.
From the information we got on the phone, it looked like Jerry Lane would be headed for Los Angeles. One of the witnesses to the latest robbery said that the suspect drove away in either a 1942 Plymouth or a Dodge Coupe. The color of the car was listed as either a dark blue or black. Descriptions of the car and of the suspect were printed up and distributed to all law enforcement agencies between Los Angeles and the Mexican border. Al Gayton from the San Diego department got in touch with the Mexican authorities and a close check was kept on all cars crossing into Mexico. According to our information, Jerry Lane had robbed at least 8 places and stolen a little under $9,000 in a period of 6 weeks. While we continued our investigation, the San Diego authorities followed up the leads they had. In the course of checking out the friends and associates listed on Lane's arrest record, they came up with the information that he had at one time been employed as a musician in a downtown nightclub. They interviewed the employees of the place, but they were not able to get a definite lead on the suspect. With the mugshot that they'd sent us, and knowing that he was a professional musician, we checked with the local office of the Musicians' Union. They told us that he was not in good standing, and they were unable to give us the address of the suspect, but they did give us the name and address of a bar where he'd worked several years before. At 8:30 p.m. that night, Frank and I talked to one of the waitresses in the place.
No, they cut out the band a year or so ago. Not enough business to keep it going.
Uh-huh. Did you work here when they did have a band?
Sure, I've been here since they remodeled the place. Been 4 years, anyway. Hey, you fellas like a drink? Be on the house.
No, thank you.
No, ma'am.
You know a man named Jerry Lane?
What does he do?
Well, he's a musician. We understand he plays clarinet.
Lane. Yeah, it seems to me I do remember him. Not too tall, kind of nice looking if you went for the type. Yeah, I remember him.
You know where we can get in touch with him?
No, I haven't got the slightest idea. Had to be a pretty big lush. Had to let him go. Union told him lay off the booze, but he didn't pay no attention. Always showing up late. A real lush.
Possible the owner might know where he is?
It isn't likely. I'm married to the owner. I know most of the stuff that goes on around here.
I see. Can you give us any idea where we might be able to get a lead on him? Some of his friends? Maybe another musician?
No. Hey, wait a minute.
Ma'am?
I might know someone. Let me make a phone call.
Well, if you give us the phone number, we can put in the call.
No, I'd rather not do that. You see, this girl used to see a lot of Jerry. Maybe she don't want to get mixed up in a thing like this. I'll call her and find out. If she knows, she'll tell me. If she doesn't, there's no harm done.
Okay.
Got a dime?
Just a minute. Here's 2 nickels.
Thanks.
I'd rather you leave the door open if you will.
You all right? Hello, may I speak to Betty Hodgin, please? Yes. All right. They're calling her.
Good.
Nice girl. Never figured out what she saw in Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Betty? Betty, this is Naomi. Just fine. You? Oh, yeah, he's fine. Say, Betty, I hate to bother you, but do you know where I can get in touch with Jerry Lane? Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, wait a minute. Did you get a pencil?
Yeah. Here you go.
Now, what's the address, Betty? Uh-huh. Yeah, I got it. No, it wasn't serious, no. No, business isn't that good. Yeah, we still got the piano. Sure, gonna keep it. Right. Well, thanks, Betty. You guys are in luck.
Yes, ma'am?
Here's the address. The club down on 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Betty says he's there almost every night.
9:42 p.m. We called the office and had another team of men sent out. We notified homicide detail that we'd picked up another lead, and they sent out a team of men to give us any help that we might need in apprehending the suspect. The address we'd been given was the Georgetown Club, a small place on West 6th Street. When we got there, the place was crowded, and the band was in the middle of the second set. We checked with one of the bartenders.
Sure. That's Jerry playing clarinet. See? Gray suit.
Yeah, does he work here?
No, he shows up almost every night, sits in with the band. Union doesn't like it. They talk to the boss about it. He's trying to get the bum out of here. Cause a lot of trouble.
That right?
Sure. Always he comes in drunk or else he acts like he's high on dope. You want me to get in for you?
Yeah, tell him there are a couple of friends who'd like to talk to him, will you?
I'll do it right now. You don't want me to say you're cops?
No, we don't.
I didn't think so. Okay, I get it.
Thank you.
Some place they got here, huh?
Yeah, sure is crowded, isn't it?
Right. Better watch him. He's probably armed.
Yeah, let's get him outside. It'd be easier to take there. Too many people here.
Yeah, the bartender's got him now.
All right. Well, let's let him get outside before we move away.
Right.
There he goes. Come on.
Yeah, sure. Well, where are they? You said a couple of friends. Where are they? You said they would be here. Now, wait a minute. Here they are. Oh.
I know you. Where did I know you fellas from?
You Jerry Lane?
Yeah, what do you want to see me about? I gotta get back in there. If you fellas don't need me no more, I'll get back to work, huh?
No.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Go
No problem. I know what's this all about. I don't know you guys.
Police officers, you're under arrest.
What for?
Frank? Yeah. Stand still.
What are you trying to do? You got nothing on me.
Stand still.
You stay away from me, cop. Now leave me alone.
All right, hold it up. All right, now come on your feet. Get up. Now stand still. Knees clean, Joe. Now put your hands behind you.
I didn't do anything. You got no reason to shove me around. Cut my mouth. It's bleeding.
Yeah, well, that makes two of us, mister.
What are you after me for? What have I done? I have too much to drink? Is that it? I wasn't bothering anybody in there.
It's a nice try, Lane, but it won't work. We got a half a dozen positive identifications on you for robbery.
I didn't hurt anybody.
You killed a man.
Yeah. The last one. I heard he died. Is it true? Did he die?
That's right.
I didn't know what I was doing, you know. I wasn't responsible. I just didn't feel so good. It wasn't my fault. He wouldn't give me the money. I didn't know what I was doing. That's going to make a difference, isn't it? I didn't know what I was doing.
I wouldn't know about that, Lane. That's going to be up to the jury, but you can bet on one thing.
What's that?
They'll know what they're doing.
The story you have just heard is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
On December 17th, trial was held in Department 92, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, the big Labor Day weekend is coming up, so make sure you have plenty of Chesterfields. Get a couple of cartons when you do your weekend shopping. Now, I can tell you why you should be smoking Chesterfields in just 10 words. Chesterfield, low in nicotine, highest in quality, best for you.
Gerald Carlisle Lane was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree and was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Rodman, Lillian Baeff, Harry Bartell. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspaper for the day and time.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork. King size for longer filtering. And Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.